Hey there, Internet. I'm Annie.
I'm Kit.
And I'm Mac.
And this is I Will Fight You, a podcast we've been turning opinion into stone cold facts since 1986. Today's fact, it's mine. Hi, I'm doing the fact today. Some movies have less movie than your average movie. We're talking about Madam Web today, folks. We brought on local Madam Webspert. That didn't come out right.
No, that's what they call me.
No, do it.
I can hear you coming up with that as it was coming out of your mouth.
That's what they call him.
Yeah, local Madam Webspert. Jake Mason. Hi, Jake.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. It's not often I get to apply my web experience, my Madam Web experience.
Your college degree.
Yeah, I feel like I've put enough credit hours into watching this movie at this point that I got to be high on the leaderboard at the very least for most times watched.
I think you have most times watched more than the people who were watching this movie, like the dailies as it was being made.
Probably. It's hard to tell because did they watch this movie so many times that they had to change everything constantly, or did they just not watch it at all and send out whatever they had? Kind of impossible to tell.
That's true. That's true. Both of those feel equally viable.
This feels perhaps over-edited, considering that all of it feels like it was made for the dumbest guy in the test screening.
It's mostly made out of trailer lines, like an entire movie full of trailer lines.
Except the trailers didn't even have some of the lines that were in the movie. Like, the trailer had lines that were not in the film.
And I feel cheated that some of those lines were not in the film.
Many do.
I don't know which one. I did buy this on home video so I could get the full experience. Basically, because there's one deleted scene that I'm going to wait until where it would have been in the movie to tell you what the deleted scene was. It's going to bring the whole thing together. You're going to like this movie by the end of it.
I'm so excited to be jump scared by a deleted scene.
Yeah, only one. Everything else made it in.
They left nothing. They left everything out on the field there.
Yeah, everything else critical to the plot of the film. But this one scene, they could take or leave. I guess the pacing was off.
You know what? That was it. They removed that deleted scene and that fixed all the pacing issues.
Yep.
Okay, folks. So this is a movie that came out in 2004. For us, that's just last year. So this is one of our freshest I Will Fight Yous.
Yeah, it came out in 2024. You said
you
2004.
did say 2004.
Thank you.
An understandable confusion to have.
I'm still in high school.
Thank you. 2024. 20 years past that point. I'm so old.
Back to those halcyon years.
Yeah. Great times going on when this movie took place. So this is a 2024 movie. This is one of Sony's, let's make a Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man in it. Well, hallucinatory experiments put on film.
I mean, tiny asterisk. Spider-Man does legally appear in the movie. So, stay tuned if you haven't seen it. By the way, if you haven't, I highly recommend following your heart on whether or not you should, or both answers are correct.
Oh, this is one of their more recent ones of this whole experiment that they're doing of making Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man in them. We started with Venom, which you've heard us talk about Venom if you like this podcast.
Yeah.
Venom!
Strong out of the gate with Venom.
Oh, mwah. Beautiful. And then immediately just slammed down to a halt. Was Morbius the next one? Was there another one before that?
I think they went from Venom to Morbius.
Yeah, it was then Morbin time.
Plasma.
And then they were tricked into releasing Morbius again.
I'm still hoping we can get them to do a third time.
If we could get them to do a three-peat of releasing Morbius and then just tack on a re-release of Madam Web and Kraven.
Oh my god.
And be like, watch all the bad ones in theaters now.
Right, they also released a Kraven movie, and they tried to tease, a fucking Sinister Six movie with the Vulture from the first Sony Spider-Man movie. You know, just have Michael Keaton in another flight suit. Just keep bringing him on. It'll probably work.
I mean, look, reminding people that the Spider-Man movies, at least that first one, I have feelings about the other two, the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
That first one whips ass.
First one's a banger.
And I feel like reminding people that, that movie exists is a kind of a double-edged sword in Sony's case. And that, you can be like, yeah, see, we have helped out with good stuff, but also that's not what you're watching.
And then they came out with Madam Web. They came out with Madam Web, which is a comic book character. I was first introduced to her in the 1990s in the Spider-Man cartoon. You know, the one where Spider-Man gets bored by Venom at the end of the opening sequence.
Yeah. For kids.
For kids.
You know, for kids.
The Shoulder Tackle Show. And she's in that, and they do a bit of like an early proto-Spider-Verse, multiverse, Spider-Man crossover thing. Madam Web's there. She's an old lady who's grumpy. She has a big chair, and she lives there.
Yes.
She lives in the big chair.
She lives in the big chair.
And she can see the future in multiverses or whatever.
My dear boy.
What?
Whoever said that everything was supposed to be perfect?
Who said that?
I did.
Who's there? Who are you?
Isn't the real question, who are you?
I'm not even sure she's a D-list character in the comics. I don't think she even ever had a solo title.
I think she's risen to prominence more the more that the Spider-Man comics have been doing, like, crossover, Spider-Verse things.
To your point, though, kid, I don't think she's had her own title, because, like, I feel like comics are a weird thing anyway, so they could sell you, like, this old lady who lives in a chair, the comic book series, but I feel like nobody is brave enough to pitch that.
Right. Well, I mean, the important thing is that her web does connect us all.
Correct.
But they decided to make an origin story for the old lady who sits in a chair and is blind and can see across time and space.
But that's what spiders can do.
Which is what spiders can do.
You know,
Yeah.
like spiders can.
Yeah.
You know, like Spidey sense? What if we just made that the whole thing?
And made it able to see the future.
Right.
I feel like I can see the through line of like how that power exists, because like if there's a spider web and you touch it on one side, the spider can feel it no matter where it is.
Right.
And I feel like if you extrapolate that far enough out, you can get to Madam Web's superpowers, but it is quite a leap, which spiders can also do very well.
Which spiders can also do.
Leaping spiders, baby!
That is true. They leap.
It all ties together.
It's all together.
It's a good movie.
The
It's a
web
good
connects us
film.
all.
Okay, so I have seen this 3 times now.
Rookie numbers.
It's a rookie number. I saw it in theaters because, like, I made this joke at the end of last episode. Everybody basically in the Binary Break group chat.
We went nuts for this film.
Go on, binarybreak.bisky.social. It's there. It's all people who like Madam Web. And, like, everybody was like, oh my god, you guys have to see this movie. Holy shit. Yeah, so I went to go see it myself. I think John was maybe out of town, or maybe I just treated myself to little a film. And Jake, this is 6? You said this is 6?
This is my 5th. Unless, you know, I've seen it so many times, it's easy to lose count, but I'm pretty confident this is my 5th viewing of Madam Web.
Okay. Kit, I believe this was the first for you?
I finished watching this movie 45 minutes ago for the first time.
Oh, great. So you're forever changed then.
I mentioned this before that we started recording. I was expecting kind of a Showgirls situation where, like, it was a competent filmmaker trying to do something good, but failed because they're insane. That's not what this is.
Yeah, it's more of a tell don't Showgirls than anything.
Oh, Jake, the fact that you teased that like 5-10 minutes ago, that's a long walk for a short drink, my guy.
It is, but
That's a good drink.
I think you'll find it's pretty correct at the end of the day. I watched I, Frankenstein the other day because I have devils inside of me that make me do dumb things. So I watched I, Frankenstein, and that movie doesn't stop expositing the entire length of the film. Like, the last thing that happens, they tell you what is going on as it's happening, just in case you don't get it. And I feel like Madam Web at least has the courtesy to, like, try to hide some of it. Like, it's not well hidden, but there is parts at the end where she's like, this is what's happening. And it's done a little sneakier than just them being like, you have a soul, Adam, it turns out. Sorry to spoil 2014's I, Frankenstein. I know you were all looking forward to it. He does have a soul.
With bated breath.
Oh, man.
I know. I'm so sorry.
And Mac, this one's your first time too, I believe?
This was also my first time. I literally started the film by saying, film seems like a great word. I started it and I was like, well, I'm not super into Marvel movies right now or anything, so I will also play the game I am currently hyperfixated on to the side while I am watching this. Claire Obscure, by the way, everybody should play it. And about halfway through the film, I paused the game, gone and got myself a hard seltzer, and was writing the most incoherent notes I have ever written.
That sounds right. Okay, so, look, I know we haven't gotten into the movie yet, but the background shit, I lost my mind trying to track down background information. I have so many things to present.
Annie, how does a movie like this happen?
Okay. So first off, this is directed by S.J. Clarkson. This is her debut as a film director.
You don't say.
Yeah, the rest of her work has been in television. The closest thing to Madam Web that she's done was 2 episodes of the Jessica Jones show.
Okay.
Oh, like the good one?
Ostensibly. And then she did 2 episodes of The Defenders, which was like the team-up show with like Jessica Jones and...
Which is really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
No. Here's the thing. A lot of her work has been directing British soap operas, which would make so much sense to me.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, I see now.
Yeah, like, not to knock soaps, they have very different vibes and needs from superhero action movies, so the gelling is not quite there.
She also directed 1 episode of Succession, which I hear is a good show, but now I'm not so sure.
She also executive produced this movie, and she has a credit on the screenplay, so does this one count as a writer, director, producer?
Oh, no. I think we're just going to keep on proving our point here. This does feel like a couple of degrees removed from Immortally Yours.
Right, because that was a solo job, or like Titanic, too.
You can tell it's kind of the same breed, though.
Can.
The other writers credited to this movie are guys named Burke Sharpless and Matt Sazama, who are also credited with such gems as Dracula Untold, a story credit on the Better Than You Think 2017 Power Rangers, and also Morbius.
I feel a hunger.
Are all of the bad movies of the last few years just a grand conspiracy by the same, 3 or 4 people?
Can I just read you verbatim the start of their Wikipedia?
Please.
Matt Sazama and Burke Sharpless. After box office successes like Dracula Untold and The Last Witch Hunter, Sazama and Sharpless wrote Gods of Egypt, Morbius, and Madam Web, all of which became box office bombs and received negative reviews from critics. The duo also wrote a reboot of Lost in Space, which, contrary to their other work, has been well received, because they are not the only writers on it, I imagine.
Contrary to their other work.
Yeah, also... box office successes of Dracula Untold and Last Witch Hunter are really bearing the lead in that those movies are also bad. People just went to see them.
Yeah, I've seen both of those movies. I didn't enjoy the experience either time.
Yeah, I don't imagine you would.
There's one more writer. There are 4 writers credited to this film. That's how you know it's good.
That's how you know it's a good one.
It's a woman named Claire Parker. She's a script continuity person. She also produced the movie. I feel like if your main job is script continuity, then something went wrong with Madam Web.
I also feel terribly bad for her if her job was to try to fit this thing together.
Oh, that is not an easy pony to wrangle.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that this was one of those situations like, oh, you want this by Friday? You get what you fucking get.
Yeah. My best guess for how this movie came together is that it is made entirely out of executive notes, but also having watched a lot of the behind-the-scenes features this morning, I think S.J. Clarkson might just also be bad at this job.
Unfortunately, I think she might just not be very good at directing superhero movies.
Yeah, I just don't think it's her bag.
No.
But I do think the executive notes thing is also gotta be in there, because a lot of it feels like it is made out of notes.
Yeah, I've got some notes on our actors here, but production, this movie got started in 2019 after Morbius wrapped, which worked out super well for everybody.
I hunger.
They also call this Sony's first female-centric Marvel film, which is it's technically correct, but
please don't give it that.
You shouldn't say that.
Yeah, don't give it that accolade. That taints
Don't
the whole...
say that. This isn't a girl boss film. Don't do that.
A lot of the behind the scenes features are about how they're like, it's so cool that it's a female superhero and her power is her brain. Yeah, that's a lot of their talking points, and I'm like, I don't think y'all watched the movie, actually.
It does seem like there were some troubles with production. Here's the thing that I was trying to chase down direct quotes on for a while, and this is going to make a lot of things click into place. Apparently, right before production got underway, I believe producers cut an estimated 20 to 30 pages of the screenplay.
Oof.
Oh, I think you can tell.
Yeah, which they say directly resulted in problems in Acts 2 and 3. Now, to put that in perspective, a screenplay, usually the estimate is that it's going to take about a minute per page. So a screenplay is probably going to be around like 90 to 120 pages. So that's about a fourth to a third of the entire fucking movie.
This looks important.
That's so much.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it. Does that mean that this would have been a 2 hour and 30-minute movie, or did they cut
I don't know.
a half an hour out and then just made it up in the edit? Because I feel like it could go either way.
I know, because it's already, the runtime of this movie is 2 hours. So it's like, did they just stretch it out like taffy? Or was there more content in this film?
Yeah.
I don't know. There are also some rumors that say that they did reshoots to move the movie from the 1990s to 2003 in order to account for a transition from an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man to a Tom Holland Spider-Man, but S.J. Clarkson says the movie always took place in 2003, and I don't know, because it's a bit like going into the Super Mario Brothers movie and saying, like, well, this couldn't have been a non-Super Mario Brothers movie. The Super Mario stuff is so deeply embedded into the DNA of this.
Yeah.
And there's a lot about this movie that's reliant on it taking place post 9/11.
Yeah, a post 9/11 superhero movie. We've already, we've had our fill of those, but this is the one where I was like, you should be talking about that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they don't.
I generally don't advise movies to linger too much on 9/11, but this one probably should have done it at least a little bit more.
Yeah, this movie should have remembered 9/11 a little harder than it does.
I think they forgot. They were supposed to never forget. So our stars here. Obviously, we have Dakota Johnson.
50 Shades.
I'm not convinced Dakota Johnson wants to be an actress.
I'm not convinced either.
I'm not sure she's starring in this. I don't think she even wanted to star in this.
Until I saw the behind-the-scenes features, I didn't think that she and the other three girls were ever in the same room at the same time, but I have confirmed that they were on several sets at the same time at the very least, so fear assuaged on that part.
Dakota Johnson's major role before this was, of course, Anastasia, the Bella Swan stand-in for the 50 Shades movies. But also, you guys, did you know that Dakota Johnson's in Beastly?
What? Where?
She is? Where?
When?
I guess she has a minor role. She's the guy's mean girlfriend before he gets cursed by a witch to have rad tattoos.
Huh.
Oh my god. I'm looking at the cast now, and there she is.
There she is. Yes, I think we really do have to watch Beastly now.
Oh, I'm genuinely amazed that y'all have not done an episode on Beastly by now.
It feels like we should have. Like, it feels like a major oversight that we haven't.
It really does. God. Yeah. Beastly. Lucas has, since we started talking about Beastly, sent me not one, but 2 video game tie-ins for Beastly.
There are 2. Yeah.
Yeah, for the Wii and for the Nintendo DS. These are 2 different games, by the way.
Sweet. Gotta get all that Beastly content you can get your fill of.
Yeah, because I sure have a Wii hooked up to my TV. Our 3 heroines, besides Dakota Johnson, the 3 girls, they are perpetually referred to in the film as those girls.
With the power. The girls with the power. One day they'll have powers.
Powers? They're played by Sydney Sweeney, who's in a bunch of episodes of Euphoria, which I think is the sexy teen high school show.
Yep.
Yeah, she's also in The White Lotus, the first season of that, where she's playing a terrible college girl.
Oh, fun.
Oh. She's also in Anyone But You, which is apparently Much Ado About Nothing.
Huh.
But they didn't talk about that during the production of that movie. Pretty good.
Nice. I feel like many of the actors in here are good in other things.
Isabel Merced, who I assume you'll be getting to, was in Alien Romulus, and she was great in Alien Romulus.
Oh, yeah. Isabella Merced is the one who's like the most... She was in the Last Night Bayformers movie. She was Dora in the Better Than You'd Think Dora the Explorer movie. She's going to be Hawk Girl in the Superman movie coming out later this year in 2025. Also, I got one more for Isabella Merced. This one's just for you, Jake.
Uh-huh.
You remember how they made that movie about the foretellers from the Kingdom Hearts mobile game, Kingdom Hearts Key back cover?
Back cover, yeah.
Yeah, well, she voiced Ava.
She's Ava?
Yeah.
You really think that I'm the right person for this?
the one who started the Dandelions with Ephemer.
Huh.
She voiced Ava in that.
That's
in the
pretty
movie
good.
they made for the big compilation of Kingdom Hearts games.
Yeah, because they knew that you weren't going to play the phone game, so they're like, we might as well give you, might as well give you something.
Which is great because the back cover actually contains none of the most important lore that you need from the mobile games. The gotcha game. God damn it, Kingdom Hearts.
That gotcha game, it has so much stupid depth to it.
God.
The whole time we were covering that on the show, I was like, imagine if this was not done as little paper dolls in a phone. This would be such a good game.
Our third person is Celeste O'Connor. She was in those 2 Ghostbuster reboots. She was also in Freaky, the Vince Vaughn Freaky Friday slasher horror comedy. I liked Freaky a lot. I don't know anything about the Ghostbuster reboots. I'm fundamentally opposed to them.
I genuinely enjoy the Ghostbusters reboots.
They do have a big brother in them.
The first one, the sibling dynamic between Trevor and Phoebe is so good.
Nice.
The second one I do have problems with because they do give Phoebe a ghost girlfriend and then chicken out on letting them kiss.
Oh, that's right. I heard about that.
Yeah, they give her just like straight up and down, no other way to read it, a ghost girlfriend. And then they're like, we got to back out of this. we don't know what we did here. But Celeste O'Connor, I think she plays Lucky in those. She's pretty good. She's pretty good in those.
I genuinely enjoy the performances from the 3 girls. Asterisk when they actually get to act and not just sort of say lines.
There's quite a few times where they are just like giving trailer lines.
Our last headliner is Tahar Rahim. I'm sorry, I'm probably mangling that. But he plays Ezekiel Sims, better known as Ceiling Guy. And I'm just going to read you something from his Wikipedia page to give you a vibe here. In 2018, he appeared as Judas in the film Mary Magdalene, written by Helen Edmondson. In the US that year, he had a starring role as FBI agent Ali Soufan in the Looming Tower miniseries. In 2021, he was nominated for a Golden Globe for portraying Mohammed Ould Salahi in The Mauritanian, sent among detainees at the U.S. camp at Guantanamo. Rahim also served as a jury member at the 74th Cannes Film Festival. And now I'm going to follow up with this next paragraph. You listen to it, you tell me what doesn't belong.
Mm-hmm.
Rahim played Paul Barras in Ridley Scott's Napoleon 2023, starring Joaquin Phoenix for Apple TV. He played the character Ezekiel Sims in the Sony Spider-Man universe film Madame Web. In 2023, Rahim was announced to be playing French singer Charles Aznavour in the biopic film Monsieur Aznavour.
How did this happen?
What's he doing here?
Napoleon's a streaming movie, right? So that's probably the one that's out of place there.
Yeah, that's definitely it. So this is a real actor.
This is like a real fucking actor. He's not allowed to do any of that in this.
No, in the behind the scenes stuff, they like speak glowingly about having got him to be in this movie. Like they are like all like genuinely like we got like a capital A actor for this. And I was like, why'd you do him so dirty then if you were really psyched about it?
Why'd you do that to him?
They don't even let him look at the camera when he talks half the time.
I forget what they said his nationality is. He's Algerian.
He was born in France.
Maybe he's French and Algerian. And so like I was convinced this entire time, because as we will talk about, his almost entirely overdubbed with himself, though. Like, that's his voice doing his lines again. I thought it was somebody else, but then watching the behind the scenes, that's just how he sounds also. So, like, I don't know what happened on the day when they were filming, but they at least didn't overdub him with, like, someone else. Bare minimum, they did that good, at least.
Calling back once again to Dark Place. It's giving Dr. Lucian Sanchez vibes.
Yeah. Oh, and like Tahar Rahim is such like a handsome man.
With the smoothest chest you've ever seen in your life.
And he's here playing a comic book character that I have never heard of before this movie, who I guess came in like 2000 something, who every picture that I've seen of him in the comic books is just a guy in a suit with white hair and no shoes.
Yeah, his dogs are out climbing up walls. He's basically, it's sort of the same idea of, it's when they tried to get like mystical with Spider-Man stuff and they're like the totems and all that.
Yeah, something about totems in that bio. Something about Cindy Moon too.
That might be a later, because Cindy Moon I feel like is a later addition than him, because he was definitely like early 2000s when he appeared. I'm not 100% sure, but
yeah, like 2001 or 2002 or something, I think.
And so it's like when they started doing the like, you know, the spider totems and like how Anya's spider powers in the comics are like connected to the totems and stuff. And everybody else's spider powers are connected to the spider totems except for Spider-Man's, who got his from a spider bite that was like nuclear. But they hated that, I guess, at some point and thought that he should be more magic. And so everybody else in the spider extended universe becomes magic in a little bit. And then Ezekiel Sims is just like a bad guy version who's got no shoes on, breaking his mother's heart, walking around the city, getting tetanus.
Spider tetanus. Okay. 1973. The Peruvian Amazon is where the beginning of our movie happens. Please buy into this.
I just watched the show Trust about the Getty kidnappings in 1973. I'm choosing to believe that the Getty kidnappings still happened in the Spider-Man universe, and there's just like some wild shit happening in the mountains of Calabria while this stuff in Peru is happening.
So we open on a close-up of a spider web and a woman whose name we will find out eventually is Constance Webb. She's interrupted while taking photos of the spider web by a dude whose name we eventually discover is Ezekiel Sims. And he brought a red umbrella with him because, you see, when you open up the umbrella and it kind of, it does a thing, all the spokes from the center point, it's kind of like a spider web over red, with red in the background and spider web in the foreground. It looks kind of like, Spider-Man.
This movie is a big believer in shots.
It does love its shots.
Yeah.
Also, I just realized that I know the woman who plays Constance. I know her from somewhere, and it's been bugging me for, I think, a calendar year and a half almost.
Uh-huh.
She played Lucy in the final seasons of Scrubs. She was in the sort of accidental sequel that should have just been called a different thing and not Scrubs Season 9, and it would have been much better received.
Right. Wasn't that the one that was just kind of like a reboot spin-off?
It was basically like Scrubs Med School, but they just kept it as Season 9 of Scrubs, and people didn't like that about it. And I feel like if they would have just said this is a Scrubs spin-off for real, it would have been much better received.
Right, Scrubs the new batch.
Yeah, exactly. But she's the main character in that. She played Lucy in that. And I was like, how do I know her? And it's because I watched a show with her on it 15 years ago or so. Also, there's an Easter egg featurette on the Blu-ray where they talk about a bunch of Easter eggs.
Like a pop-up video?
No, it's just director S.J. Clarkson going through all of the Easter eggs that they put in there. 90% of them boil down to this number is a reference to the comics. Almost every time there's a number, it's just like the number of an issue that one of the characters was in a comic book somewhere. But in the background, if you're paying real close attention, you can see that the company that Constance works for is Romita.
Uh-huh. Named
after John Romita Jr., who drew Spider-Man a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, so these are some of the great features you can get if you spend $10 on eBay to get an unopened copy of Madam Web on Blu-ray.
So it's like, hey, you see this thing? It's like in Spider-Man.
That is literally, it's like a 3.5 minute long featurette, and most of them are like, this is from Spider-Man the comic.
The comic Spider-Man?
And then at the end, she's like, there's some more in here that I didn't tell you about. If you use your powers of observation, you can use... And I was like, shut up, get out of here.
So Constance is in the Amazon. She's looking for an impossible to find spider because the peptides in the spider's venom
supercharge their cellular structure.
Right.
You hear the word peptides in this movie surprisingly often.
Especially for a movie that will take no care to define the word peptide for you.
No, I assume it just is like, it's like Tums. It's like off-brand Tums, right? So it feels like to me.
Pepto-Arachnol.
The one that coats is the only one they need. Pepto-Arachnol. It relieves heartburn, upset stomach, and diarrhea.
Yeah.
Luckily, though, Ezekiel is here to tell you that spider can give superhuman strength and power, like Las Arañas.
They're basically talking directly into the camera. They explain the spider thing, the Las Arañas thing, the peptides thing, all of it.
You mean the mythical
spider people who run across the treetops?
The very same.
And they punish evil men with their black poison touch? I don't think they exist. I cannot stress enough that Las Arañas is literally just the spiders.
The spiders.
I cannot stress enough.
Also, one of their very few defining characteristics at this point is punishing evil men, a thing they will not be doing in this film.
They refuse to do.
Don't even worry about it. They will not fulfill that part of the deal.
She tells us that the spiders can cure hundreds of diseases somehow.
Yeah.
If she finds this special spider, which probably is going to be important to her because she is mega pregnant.
I guess in the 70s, there weren't like laws about flying when you're turbo pregnant, when you're like just about there. Yeah. But I know now.
There weren't a lot of laws pertaining to flying, period.
That's a good point. They were just like, get on the plane, do whatever you want.
Party on.
I feel like if you are this pregnant, somebody should be like, don't go that high up in the air.
Yeah,
it's bad for you.
You should be at least within like a reasonable distance to a place with a clean room and perhaps a doctor or midwife.
Yeah.
It's okay. The Las Arañas apparently are also midwives.
That is true.
They are very trained in the field, yes.
Yeah, this woman's like, my baby is trying to keep me from working, but I don't have time to rest. Because it sounds like, I guess she's just having contractions at this point.
Yeah.
White lady from another country, I'm putting my foot down. Don't have your baby in a jungle.
Nothing good happens.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Don't have your baby on the dirt in a jungle. Ezekiel is just like, fine, I guess this conversation's over, and then just leaves the set to go back to base camp where he can just angrily look at spiders in jars and take pictures of Constance's journals.
For a reason.
What I love is that at this point, they haven't referred to each other by name at all. They've exposited so much, but we have no idea who these people are.
Yeah, that tracks.
But then Constance re-enters the film saying, I found the spider off camera, and also I had a jar to put it in.
This was one of the first things that started to make me insane about this movie, is the fact that we have all of this build up to, I'm looking for the spider. The spider is the most important thing either of us is looking for. And the finding of the spider happens completely off camera. We don't see her find the spider.
Listen, that little CGI spider model was so expensive.
They could only use it 3 times before it would expire, and then they weren't able to use it anymore.
What was the spider licensed through Unity?
Yeah. And if they use it more than 3 times, they got to pay for everyone who watches it. So they'd end up paying probably like $8-9 by the time it got to video. I do love that. I didn't realize that that this is stupid that they don't show her getting the spider until just now, because the movie sort of washes over you. But now that you mention it, it does sort of set up a whole thing in the movie wherein nothing happens a lot. And I think they're just getting you ready for that right away.
Sometimes things happen off camera and you're told that they happened, but that would be expensive to show them happening. So obviously, as soon as she has a spider in a jar, not even bothering to like confirm, are you sure this is the spider we're looking for? Right. Ezekiel just takes out a gun and starts shooting.
Yeah.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang! Bang! Well, I don't see so good, so I missed. Then they ran away. I ran after them.
He's like, I've been searching for that spider for years. I'm not interested in helping people. No one helped me when my family was starving. Hey, folks, hey, don't put a pin in that.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about that
never
either.
Going to come up
It's
again.
never going to come up again.
He even said, like, I didn't have the same choices as you. And I feel like at some point somebody...
My road is not the same as yours. We did not make the right choices.
I feel like what happened here is at some point a suit had a conversation with the screenwriter and says, I don't understand why Ezekiel starts shooting people. I don't understand what he wants. And at some point somebody came up with the bullshit of like, oh, well, you know, he's a bad guy because, you know, he had a hard life and he didn't have the same choices as Constance did. And then somebody else was like, you should put that directly in the script so that people aren't confused. And now we have this scene.
One of the 4 writers put it in the script.
Can you hear the 1,000-yard stare in my eyes?
And, yeah, but here's the thing. He's never going to need to follow up on that. All they needed was, I had a hard life. At no point where they were like, okay, so should we like show him having a hard life, giving some motivation?
No.
No?
Don't need it.
Okay.
Don't need it.
No. Foolish.
Okay.
Foolish endeavor to show him having a hard life. It's like very generically like bad, right? And I do. This is one of the first things that I'm like, oh, this is a movie made out of studio notes. Is this? But like, why doesn't like he's getting paid for this, right? Like, so he has a job. It's like, what is being Spider-Man, ceiling guy, gonna do to like give you money? Like, we don't see any of how this turns into him being some sort of millionaire man later.
Yeah, not at all.
Well, you see peptides.
Oh, he sold the peptides. Oh, obviously. That spider, by the way, I can't wait to talk about it in a minute. I have one question about spiders that hopefully somebody can answer, but I don't know if they can.
Let's go, because he's going to he shoots Constance and he takes the spider and just leaves her there and he runs. He's got this little spider in a jar and it's just got a fat butt. This is a little spider with a fat butt.
Big dump truck on this spider, yeah.
Dump truck ass.
Yeah. All the other spiders are falling over themselves trying to get a piece of this spider's big ass.
And so suddenly the tree branches start shaking.
What could it be?
And then Constance is surrounded by the weirdest men.
All wearing fishnets?
Not like fishnets, like leggings or something.
Like fishnets you'd use to net fish.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some vines and like some kind of red body paint.
Yeah. To evoke Spider-Man.
Yeah. Like Spider-Man. It's hey, it's like Spider-Man.
You know how Spider-Man's a nude guy painted red wearing fishnets like from a boat? Just like Spider-Man.
Just like Spider-Man.
You know Spider-Man.
It catches bad guys just like flies.
Just like fish do. It all comes together. The web connects us all.
And so they're just like, great. So let's just carry a heavily pregnant woman who is bleeding out from a gunshot wound. Let's just carry her across the treetops and jostle her a lot. I think that'll work well for us.
Yeah.
And then throw her into a pool. That's all we need to do. Throw her into a pool.
Throw her into a pool. Let's go to a cave with a grotto surrounded by spiders and walk on the ceiling for some reason.
Do we see the birth happen in this scene or do we just see it in flashback?
Oh, yeah.
We see it happen in this scene.
Okay.
Sort of.
We do see the birth happen in this scene, as much as you can see a birth happen in a PG-13 movie.
They have a spider that just lands on like her sternum and bites her. And then we just sort of like have a couple of flash frames and then there's a baby in the water.
Yeah, suddenly there's a baby and he's pulling it out of the water and he holds it up and he very woodenly says, her journey will not be easy, but she is strong. She will come back when she needs answers, and when she does, I will be here for her.
And then Constance just dies.
And then Constance dies.
So she didn't get any cool spider powers.
No.
Then she just,
they went right through the fallopian tube.
Yeah, just whooshes right in.
Just directly in there.
They do, at least, bare minimum, I will damn this movie with faint praise probably for the entire runtime of this episode, but they do put a little red spider bite on her chest where she gets bitten.
They actually did that.
That's nice of them that they followed that through.
So I have a lot of questions. How baby get to New York?
They mailed it.
They made a box with some holes in the top and just mailed it.
They put some leaves and sticks in there to replicate its natural environment and mailed it to New York. I like to think that the main La Saranya guy brought her there, but I don't know if he did it like now, dressed like nude Spider-Man.
No, he definitely just showed up to New York wearing fishnets like from a boat and just walked in and then handed the first stranger he saw the baby and said, here you go, and left.
Here, do something with this.
And also, here's a suitcase full of her mom's stuff.
Yeah. Her name's, I guess Constance wrote down the baby name at some point.
We have to assume.
Wait, Huey, Dewey, and Louie? No, their names were supposed to be Jet, Turbo, and Rebel.
I could have been Turbo?
I told Donald. I wrote it down in case no one could understand him.
I could have been Turbo!
Either that or this man named her.
Because, this guy just loves Greek tragedies.
Well, he's dressed like he's on a Greek vacation later, so...
It's true.
They got all of her stuff, too, so, they did go back to the place where she was shot, and then there was, 8 or 9 other dead bodies, and we're like, just pack up her stuff, put it with the baby, and then send it back to New York.
And they're just like, hey, should we go punish that evil man who shot her?
Nah.
Nah.
Nah, that's not what Las Arañas do.
I don't know who said that.
No, that guy's gone. He left. We'll never catch him. He might have spider powers by now.
And then as the baby cries, we smash cut to an ambulance, which Cassie Webb is driving in New York City.
In New York City.
In 2003.
When I saw this movie in theaters, we were a little late. So I came in literally 1 second after the time. I missed this whole first part.
Oh, man.
And I came in 1 second after the timestamp. So I spent a good amount of the movie thinking that maybe it was present day, but noticing a lot of things that you would maybe only notice if you are deeply keyed to 2003 to 2005 pop culture and stuff for another podcast that you were working on at the time. So there was a lot of like, that's not out yet. That's not how that thing is. Why is that microwave so large? When are we? And then eventually I did figure it out because I saw the PSP and I was like, there's no way this is modern times.
That's the one that unlocked it.
That was it. That and the big microwave.
Yeah, the big microwave. She's an EMT worker, which I'm very excited to hear Mackenzie's EMT takes.
I didn't know that this is going to be a thing. I'm very excited when I saw the group chat.
For those who don't know, some Mac lore. Back in college, I had to take a science class for something, and I found out I could take an EMT course to do it instead. So I took an EMT course and briefly worked as an EMT, basically for a summer.
Nice.
Pay sucks, and hours suck. So this hurt me.
I'm so excited. We're going to start out here. Yeah, Cassie Webb is an EMT. She's a driver. Her partner, who is also in the ambulance with her, is Adam Scott.
I mean, look at what I've accomplished.
Adam Scott's here.
Do you think a depressed person could make this?
This movie came out while he probably should have been filming Severance Season 2.
No.
This is why Severance was delayed so long.
This is why Severance was late.
He had to do Madam Web.
Because he had to go and do Madam Web.
Right.
Yeah.
What I love here is that he plays Ben Parker. You know, Uncle Ben.
Uh-huh.
Uncle Ben.
Don't worry about it. Everything with this guy is going to be fine.
I think this also might be the first time ever, and at least in my experience, that, and I haven't read every Spider-Man comic book, that's a fool's errand. I'm a Madam Web spurt. I'm not a...
Spider spurt.
I'm going to not finish that. But I feel like I have never once heard of what Uncle Ben ever did for a job. Like, he's just like an old man, right? Because he's not in a lot of stuff because, spoilers, usually he's dead by the time Spider-Man is going on. But this is the first time I've ever seen him be given a job, and I do kind of like it. They're like, oh, he was an EMT before.
It is interesting. It's kind of an Obi-Wan scenario here where, like, Uncle Ben and Aunt May are usually traditionally pretty old. So, like... Yeah. He's going to age so much if in the next approximately 16 to 17 years.
Well, this is Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Technically, Uncle Ben isn't an EMT. He is a paramedic.
Oh.
Who have more training than EMTs.
Ah.
Which makes every sin they commit even worse.
Mackenzie's going to be very upset throughout this movie.
He mentions having served in the army. So he is a vet.
Okay.
And again, how you get the information that he served in the army is delivered as clumsily as you would expect.
Uh-huh.
For those who don't know, the rankings of ambulance folk are EMTB, EMTA, paramedic. Paramedics are like the bosses of all the others because they had actual college training. Everybody else, no.
Okay.
Paramedics can give you drugs. Regular EMTs, not really.
So which one of these is Cassie, actually?
It says paramedic on her sleeve.
Uh-huh.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
The movie's lying to you.
The movie's lying.
Yeah, this is some suspect information.
She is a B at best.
Damn. Cassie does some ambulance driving throughout the city, and she's angry and she swerves a lot. She almost hits a skateboarding teenager who then flips her off. And frankly, if you almost hit a teenager on a skateboard, you're probably right to be flipped off.
Yeah. As someone who's been on the other side of that many a time, that's just pretty much automatic. Like if someone almost hits you, it's just finger up immediately.
Ben's doing the worst CPR in the background, which one, that's not how you fucking do CPR. He's like doing it one-handed.
He's doing like one-handed chest compressions, yeah.
But two, as a paramedic, they have an AKG in the back. They can just hook that up and it will do it for them. Better than them.
Oh, stay tuned on that one, folks.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also an Easter egg here. The kid who flips Madam Web off, her outfit is taken directly from an issue of the comic books.
Hooray! So we get to the hospital, where we find out that Cassie is going to get roped into a baby shower. And this is the part in the movie where Cassie is the most relatable human being on Earth.
Yeah, I kind of love that Cassie is terrible in this movie.
It's a fucking mood.
Yeah, on this watch, I really, really appreciated how evil she is, kind of. She's like really bad, and it's pretty good.
It's kind of genuinely fun that she's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun that she's a horrible little goblin who's constantly being like, no, I'm so fucking normal, you guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a baby shower. I'm going to have to do baby things and get roped in because I have ovaries. And he's like, no, you're going to be growing with the boys.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. At which point a nurse approaches, or at least a person in scrubs, and she's like, oh, good, you're still here. Good news, she's gonna be okay. And Cassie just looks at her and like,
what?
Who?
Who?
Your patient, the person in the ambulance that you brought in.
Literally no nurse would do this.
Yeah, Cassie just completely forgot this woman existed the moment they arrived at the hospital. She does not have the emotional bandwidth for that.
The family is right there.
Literally would not happen.
Oh?
When you come into the ER, you normally drop off the patient. You very quickly rattle off to the nurse everything that went down, and then that patient is gone. You do not hear about them ever again.
Nice.
Maybe that's why she's so surprised. This is the first time anyone's ever followed up, and she's like, my part was done. This is your part now.
I already wrote this entire interaction off.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the family is right there, and there's a little boy who's like, I made you a drawing.
I drawed you something.
How did you have time to do this, child?
This kid feels a little too old to be drawing this badly, too.
You melt his ass, kid. Get him.
Do not give me a drawing. And he's just like, please, just take the drawing, Cassie.
Again, I love how she is terrible, and she's like, I don't fucking want that, kid. And Ben is like, this is the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me. Please just take that and walk away, for the love of God.
Throw it out later.
Yeah.
There's also an older sister there, too, who is like, I'm not immediate family, but I am her stepdaughter. Should I go in? And Dad's like, I think she might prefer... And he goes like, oh, cool, Dad. Fine. I'll just go home.
Yeah, fuck me then, I guess. I feel so bad for Julia this entire movie. They are this movie, everyone in it, but this movie in general is so mean to Julia, and it feels really pointed in a weird way.
Yeah, I don't know why everything about this movie hates Julia so much.
She's not that bad. She's just a little bit of a dippy teen.
Yeah, she's like kind of a goody two-shoes.
She's absolutely fine.
But other than that, just leave her. She's going through something. Be nice to her for like a minute, please.
So Cassie walks off with the drawing where she's like, it's like cardboard. It's like construction paper. How do I even fold it?
How do I fold this?
Cassie, you can fold construction paper.
The very frustrating thing about this movie is that there are spans of a couple of seconds at a time where it almost works.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell that the director was into soaps, because anytime we're not doing superhero movie shit and it's just like regular, like low-level character interaction, it's almost a movie.
Yeah.
And then you get back into when this movie has to have a plot, and it's just back to like characters talking exposition directly to the camera and not being allowed to act. And I don't understand how this happened.
Yeah, I feel like there are two different Dakotas Johnson in this movie. There's the first part where she's really gelling with it, where it's just like, this is a terrible person. She has no idea what she's doing.
Yeah.
And then there's just the second half of the movie when the plot happens and she's just going like, at the camera for like an hour.
There's a lot of ideas in this movie that I feel like if you could just like siphon them out and put them in a different, better movie. Like, they would all work. Like, the idea of, like, Cassie, who has very little emotional attachment to anything at all, having to, like, protect 3 girls from someone trying to kill them. Like, I feel like there's a lot of meat on that bone, but they are just so wholly uninterested in doing anything in the movie that they're like, what if we just sit in a car for 20 straight minutes instead? It's like, oh, okay, yeah.
It's like, you know how Alan in Jurassic Park has to spend time with kids after establishing at the beginning of the movie that he doesn't want kids and he doesn't like them, and then he, like, becomes a father over the course of this movie to these kids as they survive the dinosaur park?
Yeah.
What if that didn't happen?
Right.
Even, like, the serial killer killing girls who are one day going to become Spider Women thing, that could work.
Yeah.
They just failed to do it.
So I have described this as not the worst movie I've seen, but the most bad movie I have seen. Because, like, I've seen worse movies. For one,
sure,
I, Frankenstein is not very good. But, like, this movie, there's so much in it that you're like, something could have happened. You just refuse to do it. And it gets real frustrating over the course of it.
It's compelling.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have this brief scene where they eat Chinese food, mostly because they can have a fortune cookie at the end. Cassie mentions that she was a foster kid and also doesn't want to go to the baby shower again. But it's like, hey, open your fortune cookie. And she's like, what if I don't want to know what my future holds? Which is nothing.
Again, the, like, just character interaction here between Ben and Cassie, where it's like we fairly naturalistically find out that she was a foster kid because she's making jokes about, I was a model foster kid, I peed outside and everything. And then, like, Ben has this, like, nice sincere moment where he talks about how he met somebody, and, like, there's, like, that awkward kind of emotional silence, and then they deflect onto something else. That all kind of works.
Yeah.
Why can't I keep watching this movie?
Right? But then they're like, look at your fortune, and she's like, it is blank. I have no future. It turns out, theme of movie.
Like, I am going to do psychic future things later. Cassie goes home. She walks by a downstairs neighbor where there's a girl telling the landlord that, like, Dad will totally have the rent tomorrow as soon as he picks up his paycheck. It's fine if you haven't seen my dad in a while. He's not home right now. Don't come in. It's fine.
Another strand in the web.
Obviously, Cassie's apartment is enormous and beautiful, but I think it's supposed to be shitty because there's exposed brick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I would happily live here.
God.
Oh, easily, yeah. The bedroom has, like, a glass door on it. Like, that's fancy.
Yeah.
Like, I realize that the tricky thing about shooting locations is that you do have to have a space big enough that you can move the cameras around in it.
Right.
And therefore, New York apartments that are supposed to be shitty are always bigger than they're supposed to be. But also, like, this is just a genuinely nice apartment.
Yeah.
It is. It's also a set. Like, this is a set. This isn't, like, an actual apartment. You can make it work if you wanted to make it smaller. But, like, I guess EMT post 9/11 paid quite a bit, maybe? I don't know. Also, her microwave is enormous. That's one of the first things that tipped me off to this is not present day. Just the sheer size of the microwave. And then, like, her home phone, and then she has a small TV. And by the time I was looking at VHS tapes, I was like, I think something's up. I think maybe...
Wait, the Blockbuster didn't give it away for you?
I guess I just didn't notice it. Blockbuster is just like, it's like background noise to me now. I see blue and yellow and I'm like, that could be Best Buy. I don't know. It could be anything.
There's this bit where Cassie opens a window, a stray cat comes in to drink milk, and she's like, us strays need to stick together.
Yeah, screenplay, do less.
Yeah.
You didn't need to say that out loud. You could have just had her feed the stray cat. We would have gotten that bit.
We'll even see the cat again later, and the cat doesn't do anything. The cat's not necessary to this.
No, I think she adopts the cat, but when we see it later, it's been a while, and it's like, did you just lock the cat in here, or did you leave your window open for a long time?
Unclear. She ends up unfolding the kid's drawing, which is terrible and generic. My family, mom, dad, and me, which is very funny because that older sister was not in that drawing.
Yeah, they hate Julia. Everyone hates
Julia so much. And then she decides to open the briefcase under her bed that's full of her mom's stuff, which I guess Las Arañas just dropped off with her.
Yeah. Okay, so first off, where did Las Arañas leave baby Cassie where she ended up in New York? And secondly, why was it with this suitcase full of stuff?
One of my favorites is that she pulls out a photo of her mom, which is very clearly just a high resolution still from the footage
From earlier, yeah.
Yeah, from earlier in the movie.
Yeah, who took this picture?
The spider. The big spider took the picture.
Hey, look, what does Peter Parker do for a living? He's a photographer.
It's all connected.
He got it from the spider pouch.
He got it.
Yeah, spider photography.
This is very much a Super Mario Brothers situation where they drop off Daisy and her necklace at the orphanage. It's same exact thing, but instead of dinosaur nuns or whatever, I forget who dropped Daisy off. It was just red painted men wearing nets for catching fish, and they just dropped off a baby in a briefcase full of documents.
Also, later on, Cassie's big emotional revelation is that, like, she's like, I spent so long hating my mother for having me in the middle of a fucking rainforest, and all the time she was trying to cure me of a disease that has not come up before this point. Nothing about this keeping the suitcase to me says I hate my mom.
Right?
Yeah, the most you get is her looking at her mom's journals that says the word peptides a lot, getting bored and saying, hope the spiders were worth it, Mom. I cannot stress enough that Dakota Johnson's line delivery in half of this movie is nothing, and the other half it's like appreciably nothing.
Yeah. When she's being like offhandedly awful, her like 1,000-yard stare kind of dead behind the eyes thing works. When she's trying to give like emotional exposition like this, it really doesn't.
Again, I'm not convinced Dakota Johnson wants to be an actress. I think she was just third in a dynasty. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No way are you allowed to have a normal job.
It's just like an easy paycheck.
So we then cut to an emergency on a bridge where a car is flipped halfway off a bridge somehow.
And these EMTs are not following protocol.
Tell us about it, Mackenzie.
So the rule is when you get to a scene where there is like damage or something like that, you generally wait until there's no danger happening and you let the firefighters and the police handle the dangerous bits. Because you're an EMT, you cannot heal someone if you are dead or injured.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who's a volunteer EMT once told me the rule, when responding at a scene, never go past the first dead cop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Never go past the first dead cop or the first dead firefighter. You stay back and you let them handle the dirty shit. Your job is to stand there and look pretty until then.
If there's somebody's injured and you go in and you get injured, now there's two injured people.
Yeah, now and then you got to call second EMT. You got to call the EMTs and like who paramedics, the paramedics.
It's like that picture of like the guy trying to pull a truck out of a bay and then the tow truck falls in too. So then they have to get a crane to pull the tow truck and the truck out.
Yeah. When I was a teenager, I was on the Junior Fire Explorers, which is just like junior firefighter basically. And like we didn't do a lot, right? Because it's rural New Hampshire. So we didn't do a ton. But we did have like kind of a lot of how to get people out of flipped over cars training. And it's always the firefighters. It's never the paramedics.
Oh, unfortunately, it is the paramedics' job here.
They rush in, and this is the exact reason we follow that protocol, Cassie. Because Cassie goes careening into the fucking water, and also Ben is bad too, because they just fucking knocked this guy who was in a car accident and might have back or spinal injuries, and they just like, we're gonna drop you and then just yoink you out. Don't worry about your neck. We're not gonna stabilize your neck at all. Don't fucking worry about it.
We're gonna unhook you. You might fall. Just be ready.
Cassie stays in the car, gets stuck in there, and then the car just goes over into the water, and Cassie wakes up underwater, sitting in the driver's seat, and the windshield is broken like a spider web.
Whoa.
And there's all these spider web threads around her, leading to a web of stuff, like a balloon.
Or a giant pea.
And people saying lines that you hear later in the movie.
Yeah.
And like a bird.
Or fetus?
Fireworks. Or something. A big neon S.
I'm not normally a praying man, but if you're up there, please save me, Superman.
Yeah. There is also a line from way later that I did not realize was this early in the movie where they talk about being in multiple places at once. And I was like, oh, you're trying to thread that in early, but you just don't have the deft hand to make it work. So you just say it now and hope people remember it later. And I've seen this movie 5 times, and it's the first time I noticed that happened.
And then she wakes up having been pulled out of the water by Uncle Ben because she was dead for 3 minutes.
And he's done CPR on her, and apparently CPR in this universe just auto-wakes you up.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like hitting the reset button on a Nintendo. Just like, whoop, get back up. You're fine.
Yeah.
Blow in the heart.
Yeah.
Oh, restart it.
Now, Mackenzie, I'm not an expert, but I feel if someone has had a cardiac arrest, they're not necessarily in walking condition afterwards.
No! They don't just auto set up. Also, CPR breaks your rib bones. That would hurt.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the idea. It's really hard, but your heart goes again.
The whole point of CPR isn't to get your heart even going again. It's just to kind of keep the blood pumping until someone shows up with an EKG.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's to prevent your brain starving of oxygen by manually circulating blood through the body.
Well, in this one, it just brings you back to life.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's magic.
It's magic. CPR is magic. That's the theme of the movie. So Cassie gets checked out by Ben while sitting in the back of the ambulance, and he's like, you need to go to a real hospital with a real doctor. And she's like, no, my O2 is going up to 89. And then we see that again.
This is the first instance of the trick of her terrible version of Future Sight, where she sees 10 seconds into the future and then wastes 10 seconds thinking about how she just saw 10 seconds into the future before it happens again.
The whole time.
This must be how we pad out those missing 20 to 30 pages.
This is where those 30 pages went, yeah.
These take forever.
The episodes were running up to 8 minutes under.
Except, instead of just doing a lot of stuff in slow motion, we just repeat the same scene a lot because that's what Future Sight is.
And it makes you think, oh, maybe my playback of the movie fucked up, especially if you're watching it on disc. And no. So it's supposed to be that Cassie's facial expressions tell you that something is weird happening, but unfortunately...
Unfortunately, it's Dakota Johnson.
It is maybe the most frustrating aspect of this movie, especially if you have a thing wherein if there's a countdown in a movie, I will count with it. Like, I can't help it.
Yeah.
Which is why Alien Romulus rules, because they're like 47 minutes until a crash, and then 47 real life minutes later, the crash happens.
No shit.
So satisfying. There's movies like this where they're like, this thing just happened, and later on there's like a music cue, and you can time those pretty easily, and you're like, when is this... What? How did we get here? How is this happening?
Yeah, so Cassie flashes back to like, you need to go to a real hospital with a real doctor and your O2 is up to 89. And she's like, what, again? I don't know.
You just said that.
I just want to go home and watch Idol. Okay, so if this takes place in 2002, I looked it up. This would place this movie between January and May of 2003. It has not been that long since 9/11.
No.
And she is a first responder. I feel like if you're in New York City and you're a first responder, less than 2 years after 9/11, there's a specific vibe.
Yeah.
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 Unfortunately, the vibe right now is opera.
Oh God, is it opera time already?
It's opera time
I thought we had more time before Crossing Jordan's Jill Hennessy gets done so dirty by this terrible movie.
We cut back to Ezekiel, who is late to the opera, I guess. And somehow that means that he gets to bone the lady he was sitting next to at the opera in his absurd penthouse apartment.
He's got those spider pheromones. He's got that...
Right, exactly. He's got spider pheromones.
That raw animal peptide.
It's the peptides. Women love a man with peptides.
And because this movie is a big believer in shots, we get this bit where, like, it circles around this weird green, like, vegetative pillar that he's got in the middle of his room, and we see that it's a spider tank, and we see the spider, like, crawl up a branch within the spider tank while we see them kiss through the spider tank, and you just know the DP of this movie was just jerking himself off over that one real hard.
Oh, absolutely. I have a question about spiders.
Okay.
What's their lifespan like?
Not long.
Not long.
Is it so not 30 years?
I would say generally no.
This is a 30-year-old spider.
This is a 30-year-old spider, which means that it would be surprising if it's that hard to find this spider, considering it lives 30 years.
Maybe there's only the one.
Spiders release a lot of eggs at once.
Yeah, it's sort of their whole deal is they, like, make a lot often. Maybe there's only one magic peptide spider and it's immortal.
It's an immortal spider.
Because of the magic peptides.
Yeah.
So he sleeps with this lady. Obviously, she keeps her bra on in like silk Sheets.
Yeah, we do also see his incredibly smooth chest. This man is glossy. He is the smoothest man I've ever seen in my life. If his chest is not CG'd to be smoother, I don't know what's going on with his real life chest. It is insane.
Yeah, especially considering like his facial hair and the hair on his head. Like it is very much like that curly texture where you assume that just goes all the way down.
Yeah. Was he too hairy? And they were like, we can't put that in a PG-13 movie. Let's smooth him out. They also gave him a scar on like one of his pecs that will disappear by the end of the scene.
I didn't even notice.
I can't stop. His chest is distractingly smooth and glossy, and it's all I can see the entire time. He's shirtless in this.
Just the raw sexual charisma of his chest hair was just too much.
I got caught up in the peptides too. I couldn't help it. Comes through the screen.
He sweats. He has a nightmare where he's got gray hair and he's like, where is my spider? They took my spider. And then gets punched by 3 women in really absurd costumes.
Unfortunately, they are comic accurate costumes.
They are pretty good. The weirdest part about this, and I think it'll illustrate how like uninterested in doing Spider-Man movies that the production team was. Sydney Sweeney, a real actress, did a lot of research for this. So she read like every Julia Carpenter, I guess she's Julia Cornwall now because she's not married yet, and then that's her married name in the comic. She read like every issue that she was in. And the one thing she kept coming back to is like every time they show her, like she's always upside down. So like you got to put me upside down in the movie. And it's like the one thing about Julia Carpenter's appearance is like every cover, she's always upside down. And the production team didn't know that and didn't care. So like Sydney Sweeney had to like pitch, like put me upside down like in the comics, you know, like you got to do the one thing that she does. And they're like, oh, we didn't think about doing that. And it's like, yeah, obviously I can tell you didn't think about Spider-Man very much making this movie.
If you haven't noticed, it's going to be our 3 girls. The 3 girls in this movie. They are grown up in Spider-Man outfits, and then they kick him out of an apartment window, which I guess that one makes him die, even though spider people in comic books generally can fall from great heights and just be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never made clear why it is they're doing this ever.
Ever.
This is just something, this is a question the movie is uninterested in answering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do murder him. Like, they do technically murder him.
They straight up murder him, and they watch him dispassionately as he falls out the window.
I mean, I feel like part of the whole vibe there is like, okay, we know this is a Spider-Man. This is one of the Spiders, man. So, like, we can kick him out a window and it's probably fine, right? And then they watch him fall out the window. And they go, any minute now, he's gonna
just get right back up.
He's gonna get himself, he's gonna web something, or he's gonna jump something, or he's just gonna hit the ground and it'll be fine. And then he hits the ground. And they're like, oh,
whoops. Also, another couple things the movie will not tackle. How they get their powers. That's just a thing that will happen in the future.
No.
Trust us.
Uh-huh.
They took the spider, so maybe they got the powers from the spider. I don't know. It's, again, a very unclear. And then he has visions like Madam Web does, but he only has the one vision, and it's being murdered in the future.
Yeah.
This is just very, very overactive Spidey sense is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wakes up, and the woman that he just slept with is like, you had a bad dream? And he's like, it's not a dream. I'm gonna be murdered one day.
I love that throughout the entire time he's going on this insane rant about how he can see the future, he's gonna be murdered. She is just completely not reacting to this at all. She's even just kind of playing along. It takes absurdly long for her to realize that maybe this guy's crazy.
Yeah, she's like, I was really just looking to get some dick here. I don't need all this, but I don't know. I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. At some point she's like, that sounds like a real buzzkill, huh?
I feel like in that situation, I would have left several sentences before that point.
Yeah.
He's been trying to find these 3 women that will kill him in the future. And he's like, but as the years pass, there have been more technological advances. New ways to find people if you know their faces. And he turns to her. The kind of technology I've heard the National Security Agency has been pursuing.
And that's the point where she's like, oh, maybe this was a bad idea.
Uh-oh.
Way too long for her to come to that realization.
That's right. This woman is an NSA agent, and she brings her work credentials to the opera and all subsequent hookups.
Yeah. Not a very good NSA agent, I don't think.
No. She also keeps a gun in her opera pocketbook. She brings a gun to the opera.
Well, you never know.
Having read an 800-page history of the intelligence apparatus in the United States, I actually buy this completely.
Oh, okay.
These people are not smart.
All right, sounds good. They got one thing right, at least.
So he grabs her wrist, and then the veins around where he grabs her start turning black, and she's like, how are you poisoning me? Because you're clearly poisoning me.
She can just tell that it's poison immediately.
Yeah.
She doesn't even say ow.
Yeah.
He's like, tell me your password and I'll let you go. And she tells me, and then he kills her and he's like, believe me, it's a good thing you had no idea today was the day you were going to die. But this line is all massively ADR'd. His lips are barely moving.
Basically, all of his dialogue is his face is just off screen when they give it, or he is on screen and words he is saying and the words that you are hearing are lined up worse than any given Shaw Brothers movie from the 70s or 80s. Like, again, he's dubbed with his own voice. Like, he is doing his own dubbing. So I guess, like, it just didn't play on the day and they're like, we can fix it in post, and then they couldn't. I don't know what happened.
Or maybe the scene used to be a lot more ambiguous, and then unfortunately the dumbest guy in the test screening was like, I don't understand why he does anything.
You know how one of the things about a lot of Italian cinema is that there was just the general philosophy of they just don't record on set audio, they do it all in dubs.
Yeah, a lot of places do that, yeah.
Yeah, and like...
Yeah, that's because they're recording the movie in tin sheds, usually.
Yeah.
Even with a movie that has an English dub, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Clint Eastwood just dubs his own lines for the ADR and everything. Did they just do that, but specifically just with this man?
Maybe. I know that, like, India does that still. A lot of Chinese productions do that still, where they won't record audio.
Yeah, it's just like an audio philosophy that's just completely different.
And, like, I guess, like, I don't know, maybe since he's, like an actual big actor elsewhere, maybe wherever he's based, they don't do that. And so, like, we'll just do it your style for this for this movie. You. just so you feel comfortable. So your scenes, we don't need to worry about audio. We'll just do it later. And then they did it later, but bad.
So we have this information. He's got some NSA work login credentials or whatever. But the important thing now is Cassie has to go to a very awkward baby shower for Ben's sister-in-law, Mary. And also, don't worry, she gets to drink a lot of Pepsi Cola.
Yes.
There's so much Pepsi in this movie. This is a Pepsi movie.
This is a Pepsi movie. They're drinking Mountain Dew Code Red in the beginning.
So good.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was pitch black because it's a black can. And I was like, that's not out yet. You can't be drinking that in 2003. That doesn't exist yet. But it is Code Red, which was out.
Code Red comes in a black can and originally,
Yeah.
Yeah, which I didn't remember. So
don't worry, they paid attention to the Mountain Dew releases.
Yeah, thank God. Egg on my face for not trusting in Madam Web.
Cassie, of course, tries to hang out with all of the menfolk who are grilling, but then she gets roped into the baby shower. And Ben's like, yeah.
I just realized that this movie is the Spider-Man version of Is Pepsi Okay?
Especially since, like, you have that bit in, like, Into the Spider-Verse where he's swinging by, like, a Coca-Cola sign. So that's the Coca-Cola.
That's the Coca-Cola.
And this is the Pepsi.
We don't have that. Is Pepsi okay? We have Madam Web for you.
So we now have the most realistic part of the movie, which is the intense awkwardness of being at a baby shower for someone you don't really know, surrounded by all of her friends.
Yeah, this seems like a genuine nightmare.
Important. Mary is Emma Roberts, a.k.a. the Juliet in Little Italy.
Ah.
It's all connected.
Among other things, yes.
The web connects us all.
From our Romeo and Juliet roundup this year, it's all connected.
Once again, we return to the I Will Fight You cinematic universe.
There are sadly in this film no dramatic close-ups of her feet or her taking off shoes.
Thank God.
Thank you for that movie. I didn't think I would end up thanking this movie for anything, but here we are.
I love that we're going to reiterate this several times, is that Ben is so excited about being an uncle. He'll be Uncle Ben. Do you get it?
You get
it? Get
That's who he is. Okay. There's a line at the end of the movie that I can't wait to talk about.
Yeah.
Reed being an uncle.
They mentioned that Richard, who is Uncle Ben's brother, is in Mumbai or Shanghai or something. So I guess we're giving a little nod to the Parkers being like spies or whatever, like Peter's parents.
This makes sense if this started life as an Andrew Garfield prequel, like Andrew Garfield, like Amazing Spider-Man, because like I think the deal in that was that he was, if not a spy, then at least a scientist who did secret stuff all over the place.
Yeah. Mary holds her stomach and she's like, gosh, he just won't stop leaping around in there. Like a Spider-Man.
Which I have never heard someone use. I've heard tons of kicking, but I've never heard leaping around when it comes to baby stuff. But maybe in Spider-Man universe, they use leaping around more often.
Because he leaps, because he's a Spider-Man.
He leaps.
Yeah.
Because he's Spider-Man.
Doesn't even have peptides yet, though. So, like, is he?
Is he really? Is it really a Spider-Man if he doesn't have peptides? They play some really awkward baby games. There's one about guessing the name of the baby, which is not really a game. That's basically how Bilbo gets out of his encounter with Gollum. Is by guess. It's like, am I supposed to guess what a wolf belt is? No, that's not it. Guess again.
Also, let's guess who wrote this one thing about their mother.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. And then she has to have that whole awkward conversation where it's like, oh, my mother died in childbirth. And again, this is actually kind of fun.
This part's great.
This is.
Because she says, my mother died in childbirth. And then she looks at Mary and is like, oh, no, that's totally rare. Plus, she went to, like, the Amazon.
She was, like, in the middle of the jungle, like, 500 miles away from a hospital. Don't worry about it.
But, you know, it wasn't that bad. I mean, obviously it was bad. She died,
right,
but I grew up totally healthy.
Yeah, she's just, again, Cassie being like, no, I'm totally fucking normal, you guys. I'm so fucking normal.
It's fine. I'm going to go watch The Christmas Carol soon. It's going to be okay. It's between February and May.
It's perfect time.
But I need that Christmas Carol. I did think she was going to say, like, she died in childbirth and then be like, oh, she was shot. Like, I don't know if she knows that yet. I don't know if she actually knows that.
Apparently not. Yeah, being shot will make it a lot harder to give birth.
Yeah, so it's like, you're probably fine as long as you avoid that one thing.
They try to guess the name of Mary's baby, which is just random names. There's a balloon pop, and then they do the same thing where she cuts back to the same scene from like 10 seconds earlier, but she's more confused now.
Yeah.
Because it's future vision or whatever.
Are we doing this again? And then I did count this time because in the first time she looks out, it pops and she's like, whoa. And they're like, what about Richard? And she's like, no, he wishes. She looks out the window to her left and sees Ben out there. And then the scene restarts. And then Ben comes in from the right on the other side of the house, like immediately afterwards. So
you're right.
Uncle Ben, fast. That guy can run. And also, there's no doors on that side of the house, apparently.
He comes running in because there's a fire down at the docks, so everybody has to go because it's a bunch of work people here.
Yeah.
And we cut back to Cassie doing chest compressions. At an abandoned fireworks factory? It's an abandoned fireworks factory.
She is so bad at them. She is barely going down at all. She is not restarting that heart. She's just kind of lightly groping this guy's chest is what she's doing.
I'm not trained in CPR, but I do think that there is some sort of breathing element. Like, that's a part of it, right?
Okay, that's complicated.
Okay.
In 2003, yes. They do say now that it's actually better to just keep doing the pumps. You only do the breathing if you, like, kind of need a brief break or something like that. But it doesn't really help as much as doing the blood does.
Okay.
But in 2003, the rules were 30 pumps, 2 breaths. 30 pumps, 2 breaths. And also, as a paramedic, she would have a breather, which you place over your patient's face so you can breathe through the pump rather than mouth to mouth.
Right.
Oh yeah, we see one of those later even.
Yeah, that way they don't vomit on you while you're trying to do mouth to mouth.
Oh, okay.
So this is future CPR.
Yeah, that she saw in a vision.
Yeah, she's doing future CPR that she saw in a vision.
Obviously.
I feel like, Annie, like, did you look this up around the time of the movie? Because I remember vaguely having a conversation about this, and that, like, it seems like they're just doing this so you don't accidentally do, like, anyone watching Madame Web who learned CPR from Madame Web, you don't learn it the wrong way. You learn at least current practice.
That was the conclusion that was suggested when we were all talking about this, because I was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure you have to do some breaths in there. I guess there are two different types. They're just like, it's the no breaths and then the breath CPR with breaths.
Gotcha.
Which I'm really trying hard not to say CPR with breasts.
So one of the things is, as an EMT, you learn the ABCs are the first important thing: airway, breathing, circulation. And so breath is important, but by compressing the heart, you're also compressing the lungs. So if you can get the blood to go, they will eventually start breathing.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So Cassie is just going to be doing chest compressions for this entire fucking scene, basically, for the next 3 minutes.
They gotta stretch out those pages.
Badly the whole time.
Badly, because we're going to have several different versions of her little time dilation, flashback, flash forward things that aren't really going to... It feels like I'm dreaming or having a weird hallucination.
Yeah, you can't tell if the movie is malfunctioning or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, she's like, wait a minute, O'Neill, my boss, who I met in the last scene, and had ribaldry about flipping burgers... Let me drive the ambulance. I have a weird feeling. And he's like, no, you go do things. And so he takes off in the ambulance and immediately gets truck cooned.
It's so good because it's just in the background of Cassie's shot. It looks like a background gag.
He's instantly isekai'd into a romantic Otome game.
Now O'Neill is washing machine in another world or whatever the hell they got going on now.
Actually, I did look up what other movies he's been in. So my guess is that he got isekai'd into a few of the Resident Evil movies.
Yeah, he was obviously he was in Resident Evil 2 and 3.
Obviously.
As we all know, the two best Resident Evil movies, asterisk, non-Welcome to Raccoon City Division, which is really good, and everyone hates it because it's accurate to the game, and everyone thinks that the Resident Evil games are cool, but they're cheesy. They've always been cheesy. They've never been cool. Resident Evil isn't cool, and that's why it's good, and no one seems to get that. I'll get off my Resident Evil soapbox now.
Yeah. It's like something out of Final Destination, this shot.
Yeah.
He gets fully Final Destination, but I have a couple questions about this. The first of which being, she stopped him from getting in the car at the same time he would have had she not stopped him. Did her vision show her what would happen if she did stop him to help? Or does it show what happens if she doesn't do something? Because we get both versions a lot through the movie.
That's deeply unclear.
Yeah, the rules are so not set up in any way that you can track that it drives me nuts. Also, another thing, we get a wide shot at the end of the scene of the ambulance and where this dump truck that is just barreling down a side street next to a river is. And it is going at a speed that it wouldn't have been able to stop in time had it not hit the ambulance. It would have gone straight into the river. There's nowhere beyond where it was, because we get a shot and it literally 40 feet is just the dock. It ends there and the river is there. And it would have just driven right into that at the speed it was going.
Another important thing we find out as we pull back is this is abandoned fireworks factory, which is mounted on top of it a gigantic Pepsi Cola sign that resembles but is legally distinct from the giant Pepsi Cola sign at Gantry Plaza State Park in Long Island. It's not the same Pepsi Cola sign, but it is the same Pepsi Cola sign, but also don't worry about it.
How do you think Pepsi feels about their product placement in this movie?
That's a good question, because, is this a Pepsi-branded fireworks death trap?
Kind of is. Yeah, why is this in the Pepsi Cola warehouse?
I don't know. I didn't see a single Pepsi in there later. Unless in this universe, Pepsi makes rockets, too.
So we cut back to Ezekiel, who is playing with his spider, and he has a woman with a bunch of computer monitors. I think at some point we hear him refer to her as Amaria, but she's just computer lady.
Yeah.
She's just here.
She's just here. It's unclear how they know each other. It sounds like maybe he hired her, but I don't know in that case why she works out of his apartment. Does she live there? Does she come there to work?
She has a magnificent nose, though. I love her nose.
She does.
She does have a great nose and a large collection of metal chokers.
Yeah.
She does have a lot of statement jewelry going on. She also will disappear from the movie as mysteriously as she appeared in it.
She's like, the NSA can access everything. The potential is infinite. It's intoxicating.
Trailer line.
But in the wrong hands, people can be tracked wherever they go.
Person of Interest did 5 whole seasons on this, and this movie does 30 seconds at most.
Yeah.
Basically, this is just here so you have some way to track the characters so Ezekiel can actually find out where they are.
That works 2 or 3 times in the movie and not in the places that you might expect.
No.
Yeah.
So what she does is she also apparently has software to make like photorealistic images of his dream visions of the women that are going to kill him.
Based on his dreams.
And he stares at them and he goes, "Their faces have been haunting me for years."
And then she's like, okay, so we don't know when this happens, so let's just de-age them 10 years and turn them into Sydney Sweeney, Celeste O'Connor, and Isabella Merced.
Yeah.
Which is something the NSA can do, or...
It takes their masks off also, and like I know there's like their masks aren't like fully closed like a Spider-Man, but this would imply that like by the time we get around to Spider-Man times, they can tell from the indents in the mask what your human face would look like under it.
And then the woman goes, "Oh, they're teens." And he goes, "They are teenagers now."
But someday they will have the power.
They will have powers and they will try to destroy me.
Everything I've built.
I was really expecting him to go from "they are teenagers now" to "soon they will be adults," and I was just ready for that line. I was gearing myself up, and then he said, "But soon they will have power," and I was like, "Oh, that's not what I wanted."
They'll have powers. You know, powers.
Yeah, this movie is determined to keep remixing the whole great power, great responsibility thing over and over and over again.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Like, I came from nothing, less than nothing, and I will not give up everything I've built and have my life cut short. What did he come from? What has he built? Don't worry about it.
Where did you come from? Where did you go?
Where did you come from? Ezekiel Peptides.
Ceiling man. Ceiling guy.
Come from Ceiling Guy.
Also, there is like one little moment when she says like, she's like, "Oh, I didn't expect him to be so young," where it's like them trying to set up like, oh, she has a conscience. Like maybe that will pay off in some way in the movie.
No.
Don't put a pin in that.
Don't put a pin in that.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Keep all of your pins on the table. You won't be needing them for this exercise.
Yeah, your pins are fine where they are. You don't need to get any extra pins for anything.
This movie does not require you to put a pin in fucking anything.
And she's like, wherever they are in the world, I'll find them because of the NSA. I also won't have to look outside New York City.
No.
New York City, baby!
New York City.
No city like it.
Best city in the world.
Best city in the world.
Get a New York hot dog.
Hey, I'm Peptides here.
Jesus Christ.
So Cassie has an eye exam in a very dramatic optometrist's office who's like, "I have no idea why you're having visions. I just tell you if you can see good."
I love how she's having visions of the future and her instinct is, I really better go for an eye exam.
I should get my eyes checked. Clearly the visions are stored in the eyes.
Also, you had a clean MRI that you did with somebody else, which I guess you just got within like a day. You got like an MRI and an optometrist. Damn, girl. Were they doing walk-ins?
Yeah, back then you could just go in. You could get them by mail if you wanted.
And the doctor's like, "I don't know, man. Just take a week off work. Get some rest.
Please.
Watch some old movies."
That line is so weird.
Yeah, it's specifically just to like be like, now you're going to watch the 1951 Alistair Sims A Christmas Carol in like April or May.
Yeah. In a movie full of weird lines, that one sticks out more than most of them to me in just a way I can't put my finger on, other than like to set up a scene, but it's so written. It's the most written line in the movie, I think.
You might be right.
And the only reason it's A Christmas Carol is so they can have the, oh, are these visions of things that are yet to come or things that only may be, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. We go straight from Ebenezer meeting the ghost of Christmas yet to come, and he's like, "Oh, Spectre, I fear you more than blah, blah, blah." The phone rings. She lets it go to voicemail. The answering machine is Ben being like, "Hey, you can still go to O'Neill's funeral in Poughkeepsie if you want," or Poughkeepsie. Don't ask me to pronounce that. I put all of my points in pronouncing Pacific Northwest indigenous names. I know how to pronounce Puyallup, so I don't know how to pronounce Poughkeepsie.
It's Poughkeepsie. You had it.
Over the course of that voicemail, we skipped straight from the beginning of The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come to the end. We go straight from Scrooge overhears a few businessmen talking obliquely to the funeral to, before I draw near to that stone, answer me one question, spirit. Are these the shadows of things that must be, or are they only the shadows of things that might be? And Cassie says the weirdest line in the whole movie. Hate to break it to you, Scrooge, but you can't change anything.
No, it is, Cassie, that's what the whole movie's about.
Famously, Cassie! Famously!
No, that is notoriously what the movie's about.
The whole point of the movie, Cassie!
Is this when her popcorn goes off and she goes to her very big microwave?
Yes.
Yes.
And she breaks a glass bowl that just appears from thin air underneath her.
Yeah. And then a pigeon smacks into her window, which makes spiderweb cracks, of course, and dies. Has Cassie never seen A Christmas Carol all the way through?
No, well, she gets so mad at it, but that she turns it off right now.
She's never seen how this movie ends.
She's never seen the end. She's like, you can't change the future. That's ridiculous, and that's what I will hang my hat on.
That's the end of the movie right there. You can't change the future. That's absurd. Ghosts, absolutely. Changing the future.
And she turns that off and she puts on Sally Jesse Raphael, I guess. I don't know if she was still on it in 2003. Probably not.
She goes to see where this pigeon just hit the window. She opens the window, and suddenly it's a few seconds earlier when Scrooge is begging the spirit to know if these are the shadows of blah, blah, blah. And she's like, this isn't going to change anything, and opens the window. And now she has a pigeon in her apartment.
Now she owns a pigeon. Congratulations.
Now she owns a pigeon. That pigeon is never getting out.
It does actually just like do a lap and then fly away. And I was like, well, you do need to wash whatever it landed on, but that could have gone much worse for you having a pigeon in your house for that long.
Generally speaking, if a pigeon gets in your house, you are never getting that pigeon out. That is the pigeon's apartment now.
Yeah.
The pigeon just lives there now.
Put it on the lease. It lives there.
And then she does, of course, the thing where she looks directly at the window and goes, well, maybe you can change the future because this screenplay has to say everything out loud directly to the camera, but also like the sequence of things.
Subtext is for cowards.
The sequence of events here feels bass-ackwards, and the reason I say that is because the idea is her boss dies, she feels like she couldn't do anything to change it. She decides not to go to the funeral. Then the pigeon thing happens, and she's like, maybe you can change the future, and that gives her motivation to go
to the funeral?
But
I guess.
Yeah.
And then she spends the rest of the movie still not quite sure whether you can change the future, but I feel like the sequence of events here should have been, she starts having weird visions of the future, the pigeon thing happens, she thinks maybe I can change the future, the thing with her boss happens, she doubts whether she can change the future, and then Ben's call asking her to come to the funeral is what gets her to go to the funeral. Like, that's...
Yeah.
It feels like that's what that sequence of events should have been.
Yeah, that's an escalation there, rather than just sort of like violent spasms.
Yeah. Also, I didn't realize until pretty much just now that she's going to the funeral. That's why she gets on the train. For the life of me, I could not figure out why she's like, I'm getting on a train right now until just now. So thank you for unlocking this piece of the Madame Web lore for me.
This movie is so explicit about everything it does that when it actually does something subtly, you're like, wait, what's happening?
Why are you here? Why'd you come here? Just to look at a PSP? You can do that in 2 years. Okay, Cassie? It's not out yet. It's not even out in Japan yet. It's ridiculous that they put the PSP in this movie. Foolish even.
It's a Sony movie.
They should have put a Walkman then if they wanted to get some Sony branding in and make it of the times.
She goes to Grand Central Terminal. As she's going around, we see the 3 different girls are also here. She gets a ticket to Poughkeepsie. We also find out that the lady with the computers is also identifying all 3 girls at Grand Central Terminal, which I guess she already found them off screen, much like much like running into the scene saying, I found the spider.
Well, if they're spiders, you can only find spiders off screen in this movie.
It's a good movie.
It's good, actually.
And she's like, it's weird that they're all 3 here at the same time, right? Like, that's a weird coincidence. And Ezekiel's like, it's not a coincidence.
There's no coincidences.
There must be something that will connect them. It's Madame Web. Her web connects us all.
One of the behind the scenes, and they're not called features on the Blu-ray. They are called extras. They're like, this is also stuff we have if you want it. But they are like interviews, and like the cast is there, like all of them. They're wearing really fancy clothes, so I feel like they recorded this at the premiere before they all saw the movie. They're talking about stuff, and there's also a lot of interviews from producers and the director, and like none of the writers. The cast gets a bit, but it's like it's mostly just a bunch of producers talking, and I was like, that's okay, maybe I'm right. Maybe this was a producer forward movie. They talk about how the movie is about, big air quotes, about these people whose lives are connected in all these different mysterious ways and how they all come together. And I'm like, that's not it. You showed that her walking by each of them once and then they're all in the train station. That's the connection that you have. I don't know what movie you think you made.
Those are coincidences, sweetheart.
Yeah, like a little bit more setup could have gone a long way for that, but that is not what you did.
No.
And I saw the movie 5 times. Don't lie to me.
So Cassie gets on the train, and you know how there was that confusing thing at the abandoned fireworks factory? Well, what if we did that for like 10 minutes?
Like a lot of times.
So many times. She sits down on the train, and then we're gonna see her get on the train like 4 or 5 times with stuff happening randomly. With like sometimes her jacket is on, sometimes her jacket is off, sometimes there's a train behind her, sometimes a guy is on the wrong train. There's a guy playing a PlayStation Portable who says, New York City is a whole new level of crazy these days. Yeah, I bet it is. In April or May of 2003, I bet it is.
Yeah, dog. Probably.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, if only there were some kind of nationwide cultural derangement going on.
Hey, you know how you're in a point where everyone in this city has PTSD right now? How's that going?
That's probably what's happening.
It's probably the trauma.
There's also the 3 girls get onto this train.
Yeah.
And
this car even.
This exact car, which is going to Poughkeepsie. I don't know how these trains work. I don't know if there's other stops on the way or if this is like we're just leaving to go upstate.
They're just all going upstate.
I know why 2 of them are on there because we'll find out Julia's reasoning later. And then Maddie gets on there to like hide from cops because her and her friends were skateboarding in this station earlier and cops hate that about people. So they were trying to get her. But I can't for the life of me figure out why Anya is on this train.
Yeah, and she got on first.
She was already there, yeah.
Where is Anya going?
I mean, Poughkeepsie, but why?
Listen, don't put a pin in that.
Don't worry about it.
Because she also sees visions of Ezekiel walking around barefoot, strangling these girls in different orders.
It's wild to me that Ezekiel's whole plan for killing these girls was not anything subtle. It's just me, who is very clearly a rich and famous person, is going to walk onto this train and like strangle and choke slam a bunch of teenage girls, and that's my plan for making sure they don't murder me and nothing bad happens.
In broad daylight, it's not even dark outside. It's not even like nighttime. He's just going.
And he has a disguise he could be wearing, but will not be.
But not always. So as soon as all 3 girls get on the train and Cassie sees Ezekiel entering from a few train cars away, she's like, okay, I have to do something, and starts yelling at the girls, go get up, you're gonna die.
And they're like, what are you talking about? And she's like, get going. And then like corrals them out.
Before Ezekiel even does anything threatening, by the way, so they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, he's like 2 cars away at this point, like walking slowly like the Terminator.
She's like, okay, I've gotten them on the platform. Now let's go. And then gets a vision of cops arresting her for threatening and trying to kidnap teenagers. And she's like, no, not that way.
Julia also does yell, help, she's trying to kidnap us. And the cops are surprisingly lax about that.
Yeah, they're just like, whatever.
They're the NYPD. They do not give a single solitary shit.
No, they're here to collect overtime, and that's it.
They're here to collect overtime and shoot people for jumping turnstiles. That's what the NYPD is for.
Also, to be real, if I heard a teenager shout that, I'd be like, yeah, sure, teen, whatever.
But then they turn around, and there's a guy climbing on the ceiling of the train platform in a Spider-Man costume that's black and red.
He's crawling on the ceiling like a spider, but he's a man. So obviously, he's a ceiling guy.
He's ceiling guy.
I feel like they could have gone like way creepier with whatever the hell that is they were doing with how this guy is shot. Because as it is, he just reads as Spider-Man, but the suit is black. And I feel like they could have just like sped up the footage or made his motions a little weirder or done something that make him actually scary.
Instead, it's like low budget Spider-Man. So you mostly just sometimes confusingly maybe see him standing on the ceiling or maybe crawling on the ceiling, but you never really see him in relation to other people. So
yeah. There's a gag reel. First thing they show in the gag reel. Oh, I just remembered the deleted scene. It already passed.
Oh my God, we already had it?
Yeah, I'll circle back to it in a second. First thing in the gag reel is the guy in the suit, who I don't think is the actor. I think it's like a stunt guy because they call him Remy a couple times. He's like dancing and like very smoothly, like kind of sliding around. And I was like, if they put this in the movie, it would have ruled. He's just like very slipperily, kind of weirdly moving, but it's also like kind of like charming in a way. And I was like, that's way scarier than just like Babadooking your way around and disappearing and stuff.
Yeah. That's that philosophy of like horror, right? It's like if you make it a little bit ridiculous, then it's creepier.
Like it gets weirder. Yeah. I can't believe I forgot the deleted scene. It happens right after the baby shower. It's like as they're leaving the baby shower.
Really? There?
Yep.
Act 1?
It is 41 seconds long. This is the only deleted scene on the disc.
Okay, I'm ready for this to tie the whole movie together.
This is going to bring it all together for you. They're walking out, and Cassie says to Ben, "It's really weird. I keep seeing things twice." And he goes, "Since the accident, since you died?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You probably just need to take a few days off." And then she says, quote, "You know I can't do that. I go crazy if I'm in my apartment for even like 5 minutes. I'm better off working." And they get in a car and then they leave.
It does tie it all together.
See, it all makes sense now, doesn't it?
It all makes sense now.
It all clicks now.
I can't imagine why that didn't make the cut. Like, of all the things in the movie that they could have, not had in the movie, this is the one thing that I'm like, would have made sense for her to like say this thing is happening to her only friend, right?
Yeah.
All the things they left in this movie, and this is what they cut.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know if it would have done anything for the movie, but it couldn't hurt, right?
Cutting back to the present, they get on another train, the lights start flickering, there's a chase scene or whatever. While they're on another train, somebody kills the guy on the PA, and everyone else on the train is normal right now, which is like, okay, so this is like 16 to 20 months following 9/11. A train is getting hijacked in New York City, and nobody is saying the word terrorists.
Right? Like, feels like they were wholly uninterested in actually engaging with what they were doing in the movie.
Nobody in this movie is saying terrorists. Like, that War of the Worlds remake, the Tom Cruise one, like, you're kind of rolling your eyes a little when Dakota Fanning is like, is it the terrorists? But, like, that's at least this is a 9/11 New York City movie.
Yeah. But in this one, enough time has passed in the real world that we forgot how fucking wild everything was for quite a bit of time after that.
A national scale. We all lost our minds.
Especially in the city it happened.
The city it happened in.
There's like a bomb that goes off later, and it's still just another superhero day. And no, it is not. What are you talking about?
This is a movie where, again, if the plot hinges on the NSA post 9/11 invasive monitoring technology, it sure feels like you should have at least leaned in a little bit more.
Yeah. The director is British, though, so maybe that has something to do with it.
They run off the train where a guy in the PA just got killed. They try to run to the street. Some cops immediately handcuff Cassie, even though it sounds like these are different cops on a different platform.
I feel like they are.
Anyway, the ceiling guy just starts killing cops.
Yeah.
We don't know why. I don't know why. Because the girls are right there. He can go after the girls.
He can kill them right now.
He's killing cops instead. I mean, I'm not mad.
Right.
Fun.
Yeah, it's not a loss, but it just seems like a miscalculation.
The best reason I can come up with for it, because he like kills all the cops and gives them plenty of time to escape in a way that is foolish for him to do, unless he's worried about being shot. That's the only thing I can think of, is that they have guns and the kids don't, so get rid of them first. But it's a bad move on his part if he has one goal.
You know how Edward Bloom knows how he's going to die in Big Fish, and he's like, well, this is very scary, but I knew this was not how I die, so I went and did it. You think that if you had a dream every night for like 30 years that you're going to be killed by some spider women, that maybe you would not be worried about getting shot, but he sure seems not to do that.
Yeah. Also, if you know that the one place you get spider powers from is the one immortal spider that you have, why don't you just squash it? And then they can't get spider powers.
They run away, and by run away, I mean they kind of lightly speed walk away.
They're not terribly quick about it, yeah.
No.
And then they get up, and Dakota Johnson is like, oh, there's a taxi, I'm going to steal it. Everybody in.
I'm going to steal a cab.
One of the top 3 most traceable cars in New York City is a cab.
Yeah.
Later in the movie, she'll just, like, rip off the license plate. Like, that's going to do it.
There are no less than 3 other identifying markers on the cab still.
Even on the paint, on the side of the cab.
It's bananas that this is the car that they steal and will drive for most of the rest of the movie.
The girls all pile into the back of the car. She drives off and they're just like, how did he stick to the wall? Do you think he killed those cops? Anya's like, it's weird that he stuck to the wall. Physics makes that impossible. And Maddie's like, yeah, well, science didn't stop him, so what good is it? And Anya just looks at her and it's like, what good is science?
I do like that they gave Anya this, like, kind of mathlete side to her.
Yeah, she has a t-shirt that says, like, I eat numbers for breakfast.
I eat math for breakfast, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know where you got that. Probably Claire's, if I had to guess. But, like, also they only use it, like, it only comes up, like, 2 or 3 times, but she is, like, doing a Sudoku a lot in the movie.
Like, the actor just had that on set and she just did not put it away when they were doing a take.
When they're in the woods, she's like doing the Sudoku, and like because the continuity of the movie is not the best, she does close it several times over the course of a minute. But I just like that it's like she's the smart one. Look at her Sudoku.
That's how you know.
And it's like I do a lot of.
She's not the one wearing glasses, so we have to do something else to tell you she's smart.
Yeah, and like I do a lot of Sudokus, but I would not put myself as the smart one in any given group just because of that, you know?
These girls just start yelling at each other. They're instantly at each other's throats. They're honestly kind of great sometimes. And Cassie is just like, your voices are like drilling into the center of my skull. Everybody shut up.
I fucking hate you kids. Shut up, please.
Any part of this movie that is just these 4 characters like interacting with like minimal plot exposition dialogue that needs to happen, that's genuinely fun.
It's a sweet spot, yeah.
They're all terrible. Cassie is so out of her depth.
This is also like kind of where the movie hates Julia really kicks into gear because they're all the girls in the back are yelling and only Julia gets yelled at directly for it.
Yeah, because she's a little bit of a suck-up in that she's like, thank you for protecting us, Cassie.
Cassie's like, shut up, I didn't do that. Shut your mouth right now, Julia. It's like, whoa, leave her alone.
You shut the fuck up, Julia.
What did Julia do? Why is everyone so mean to Julia?
Right?
Like, she's just a bit of a dip. She is less angry than the other kids.
And maybe that's it. Maybe Cassie can just sense the weakness in her and is like, I'm going to go after you because these other ones will yell at me back.
Cassie's like, I didn't protect you. Your parents can handle this. I'm taking you home. And they're like, oh, none of our parents are home.
Yeah, they're all like, can't really do that.
We also hear that there's a radio alert out. They say, like, they're looking for Cassie, who they say kidnapped the girls. And then Cassie tries to talk back to the radio. Like, what? But he was on the ceiling. You guys saw that? And they're like, no one saw ceiling guy.
Tourists don't look up. So no one saw ceiling guy.
That's the thing here is that they're just going to call him ceiling guy. And we never get a name for him. He doesn't have, like, an alter ego. It's just Ezekiel Sims, which they don't find out in the movie for a really, really long time in an incredibly improbable way. So he's just ceiling guy.
He's just ceiling guy to them. It's like there's a tweet from a while ago talking about how every zombie movie refuses to say the word zombies. It's like, Father says the droolers will be back soon. And it's like, that's just ceiling guy. That this ceiling guy is just not calling zombies zombies.
Yeah, ceiling guy is just not calling Spider-Man Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, he can't do webs, but can do poison. I think that's the real difference between a ceiling guy and a Spider-Man, is if you can webs or not.
They're bickering. At some point, Maddie, who is rich, gets out a phone and they're like, you have a phone? You know they can track those now, right? And Cassie just grabs the phone through that little like window that the cabbie has, grabs the phone and throws it out into the street.
It's a Nokia. It's fine. You can just go get that.
Yeah.
It probably cracked the pavement, honestly.
Yeah.
And then, like, because they're bickering, she slams the car to a halt in the middle of traffic, and she's like, anyone that wants to leave right now can. And then they try to, and she's like, but actually don't.
No, wait, no, you can't.
Because you're the only ones who know I didn't kidnap you, so I'm kidnapping you to prove I didn't kidnap you.
And, like, I feel like in a better movie, this bit would still work because, again, Cassie's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kidnapping you to prove I didn't kidnap you actually works in that version of the movie.
Yeah. I do really love when the radio starts being like, be on the lookout for someone who killed a bunch of cops. And they're like, oh, good, they're going to find the guy. And then they're like, she's also kidnapped. And then that's when she's like, oh, come on. That's not me.
Ceiling guy is like, where did they go? The police don't have this technology, Mario. Only you have access to every camera in the city. And it's like, I'm pretty sure the police still have traffic cams, man.
Yeah, no, traffic cams weren't invented until 2004. So just too early, rats.
So in order to get totally off the grid, she drove the cab into the woods about half a mile down from a diner on a main road.
This has got to be in New Jersey, right? Like, this has got to be across state lines, because I don't think there's anywhere with an actual forest in the city of New York, from what I know.
It could also be north, because, like, that's where, like, Sleepy Hollow and all those are.
Okay.
And that's an actual forest, too.
Well,
yeah, but
it could be either way.
I think she just drove them, like, kind of out of the city, but north out of the city, but not too far.
Technically, it could also be in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. It could be over there.
But it's not in the city, so they did leave over a bridge, which I assume probably has a camera somewhere that Amaria could have found. Also, apparently this was shot in Andover, Massachusetts, which is relatively close to where I live. Didn't know that till today.
Unfortunately, people have tried to go to where this diner is, but unfortunately, it was not a real diner. It was an exterior they put up and then took down.
Yeah, they built the diner for the movie, and apparently it confused locals. Locals thought there was a new diner. And then they drove a car into it. They just destroyed it by the last thing they shot apparently was them driving the taxi into the diner itself.
But we'll get to that.
Will we?
In the meantime, in the woods, they just parked in the woods slightly off the road and then started a fire. And they're like, gosh, I'm so hungry. Did you find anything? And she's like, there's some jerky in the glove box. And we don't know how long that's been there. What's the expiration date on that? And she's like, I don't know. I hope you're good at catching squirrels.
Julia says, I always wanted to be a Girl Scout. And they're like, yeah, I bet you did, Julia. And she's like, okay, sorry, I'll shut up.
Why are we all being so mean to Julia?
You're so
What's
mean to
wrong
her.
with that?
What's wrong with being a Girl Scout?
There's a callback to that just so they can dunk on her more about Girl Scout stuff. And it's like, lay off her, Jesus.
So they're like, okay, so what's up with Ceiling Guy? And she's like, and Cassie's just like, I don't know. How did you know he was coming? Oh my God. She's mad they're asking. Why is he trying to kill us? And she delivers a line that I think about a lot, which is like, I don't know. Crazy shit's been happening to me, and I don't know why. Stop asking me. Our heroine.
Love when the protagonist of the movie is like, don't ask me about this film. Don't ask why things are happening.
I don't know why things are happening. I'm not interested in finding out. Don't talk to me. These girls that, I remind you, she did kidnap.
Again, the good version of this movie, I think, still has this scene in it because, again, Cassie's terrible.
Yeah.
She's just awful.
For sure.
And this is the part where all the characters are like, oh yeah, I've seen you before. You were that terrible woman in the hospital.
Oh my
and
God.
You're my terrible neighbor. And you're a terrible driver who almost hit me.
The web connects them all.
The web is everyone is pissed off at Cassie all the time.
Yeah, she's in the center of this big hate sink. So she's offloading it to Julia, very unfairly, I think.
Cassie's like, I can kind of see the future. And they're like, how does it work? Can you do it right now? And then she's like,
I can't do it on command.
He can't do it on command, but it is cool.
I don't know. Ceiling guy kind of crawled on the walls like some kind of wall crawler, like a spider person.
So close.
Cannot say Spider-Man.
Cannot say Spider-Man.
Disney's lawyers will get so mad at us if we say Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They won't actually. This is just Sony being like, we don't want you to say Spider-Man or Peter Parker.
Yeah, it came out after Craven that they could have put Spider-Man in any of these movies and actively chose not to.
Yeah, this is just them. Disney was fine with it.
Disney was totally okay with it, which is wild that Disney was not the problem in this instance. They also do the same bit from, I think it's No Way Home, where they throw something at Cassie and she's like, it doesn't work like that. Like, that's just exactly the same as when they throw something at Andrew Garfield in No Way Home. It's like the same joke verbatim. They're just in the woods instead of a living room or whatever.
Amazing. So anyway, someone said spider, and Cassie's like, spider? I have a whole briefcase with things that say spider in them. And then she's like, I'm going to be back in a few hours. Stay in the woods.
Catch some squirrels.
Hey, 3 teenage girls with nothing to do but pick on each other. Stay here in the woods.
Just be like a Girl Scout. Be that. Do that. Don't do dumb things.
And yeah, Julia's even like, isn't that the start of a horror movie? And I would love to watch that movie too.
Yeah. She's just like, seriously, don't do dumb things. And then drives off in the taxi cab that she stole after kidnapping 3 teenage girls with zero plan.
Oh, do as I say, not as I do, I guess.
She goes back home, she pries that license plate off the taxi cab, completely ignores the other identifying marks on the taxi cab.
The top of the taxi has a serial number on it that is
right
very
there.
visible. There's like identification number.
Sorry, it's completely unidentifiable.
It's an anonymous vehicle now that she popped the license plates off.
It feels like at some point somebody pointed out that nobody in New York has a car and they decided to solve that story problem in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
Like there's even taxi cabs generally have there's usually at least some kind of radio to, for rides or going back to where the depot is or something.
Like dispatch and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I will point out, not having license plates on your car is illegal and will get you pulled over pretty quickly in a major city full of cops.
It is very noticeable. Cops are just looking for easy shit like that.
You can't do that in rural New Hampshire and get away with it for very long. You definitely can't do that in New York City, baby.
Cassie digs up her mom's spider research. She finds the entry about Las Arañas. The cat is there, and it's like, have you ever heard of Las Arañas? Me neither. And at no point is she like, that just means the spiders.
The spiders.
This doesn't even mean spider people, just the spiders. It's like that old SNL skit of I am El Nino.
Which in Spanish.
For those of you who do not speak Spanish, I am the Nino. She's like, oh, spider people with powers derived from venom.
Outstanding.
Who are fast and strong and climb like spiders, just like Ceiling Guy. Then she tries to climb a wall.
I kind of like this, actually. I kind of like that she's like, well, how do I know I can't climb a wall?
You never try it just walking around, so you wouldn't know if you could or not.
There's also a line in there that describes Spidey sense.
Yeah.
Then she's like, oh, clearly this is my clairvoyance. And then finds a picture with Ceiling Guy on it with her mom, and then a location written on the back for Peru.
Yeah, it says Constance and Ezekiel, and it's in cursive, and I'm really bad at reading cursive, so the word Constance does not look like that word to me. And it took me a minute to figure out that it was a name and not also the location.
Yeah, for how long that image is in frame, you think they would have just written it in just longhand.
Yeah.
Just so you can glimpse it and understand it. All right. Meanwhile, the girls are hungry in the woods and they're being mean to each other. And then Maddie's like, hey, isn't there a diner a half mile down the road?
The diner scene that we'll get to is bananas because this is also where I feel like they stretched out a lot of those pages that they cut. But the way they get there, the idea of it is Maddie just knows there's a diner. I don't know where you are. The movie hasn't told us where you are. but you just know there's a diner near here? So you're not very lost then. You're not very far in the woods. You can't be.
Yeah, because when we see Cassie leave, we see the road.
Yeah.
So they're not that far off the road. It's like she pulled up into like half a driveway. And so they decide instead of just walking off the driveway and onto the road, they're just going to take off through the woods. And a half mile, that takes like 10 to 15 minutes walk. That's very short.
Yeah.
I feel like, though, in a situation where you don't have a compass, walking 10 to 15 minutes in what could be a random direction in the woods is a great way to die.
Die of exposure,
die.
yeah.
At the very least, it stretches it out, so it's dark by the time they get to the diner.
I hate how the movie's been clipping along pretty quick up to this point, and then it hits this bit, and it just slows to a crawl.
We stay in this diner forever.
They're in the diner forever.
Which, it's called the 4-Star Diner. Apparently that's a Spider-Man thing.
Yeah, probably.
Another reason that we can't be that far out the city is that when they get to the diner and sit down, they notice there's boys in a corner booth who are all wearing Midtown High sports apparel, and that's where Peter Parker went to high school.
Yeah, in Queens. So they're near enough to Queens, or this is the basketball team, and they are traveling.
And they're like coming back from like an away game, yeah. There's a guy in the diner who's reading a copy of the Daily Bugle and notices the missing girls. Anya, by the way, is the only smart one here. She's like, we're trying to stay hidden. Some guy's trying to kill us. Let's not talk to anyone. Let's just get food and leave. And you're like, nah.
Nope, we're going to talk to boys.
We're going to talk to boys.
And then we're going to dance on the table.
To be fair, teenage girls.
Teenage girls.
Yeah, but would the staff let this happen for as long as it does, do you think?
No, I feel like the moment they get up on the table, the waitress is like, you got to get down from there.
Get down, I swear to God.
Again, if you fall, someone will press charges and our diner will pay for it.
Yeah.
It will suck for us. So, like, there's a trucker, he's got a copy of the Daily Bugle, which is talking about the missing girls on the cover, and that was like a couple hours ago, so damn, J. Jonah.
J. Jonah works quick. Also, that's Maddie's uncle, Jonah.
Wait.
Like, she mentions that earlier, that, like...
That's the guy she was going to call?
Yeah, she was going to call J. Jonah Jameson her uncle.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, can you imagine a version of this movie where everything just gets handed off to J. Jonah Jameson?
Man, that would rule.
That's great.
Just drop J.K. Simmons in here.
Why wasn't J. Jonah Jameson in this movie?
Damn it.
They're really important clients. They can't wait.
They're about to.
Because they were too busy being in the woods, and the ceiling guy took up all their budget, and they couldn't afford J. Jonah Jameson. His niece is missing, so like, yeah, that paper's going out today.
Okay, that tracks. God damn it. The trucker calls 911 about this because he's actually being a decent person. The computer lady catches the call, Ezekiel intercepts it, and he's like, they're not the missing persons. Don't go there.
Don't go there.
He drives off.
And the cops are like, you got it.
Sure, guy I've never heard before. What's your badge number?
With a very specific accent. It's not like you wouldn't recognize him if you knew him.
So Cassie arrives back in the woods, and she follows the trail through the woods, arrives at the diner in like 5 seconds, so it takes her significantly less time. And they are playing Toxic by Britney Spears. The girls are dancing on the table about it. That song's album does not release until November of this year.
Nope.
Yeah, but when did the single come out?
Not till the year after.
January, it turns out.
Yeah. In comes ceiling guy, kills all the girls while walking on the ceiling sometimes.
Yeah, there is one cool shot of him like doing a flip, and the camera flips with him because the movie does love shots, and they, broken clock twice a day. That one is pretty neat. I wish they would have done a couple more of those just to really make it seem like Ceiling Guy was doing something for the most part, but we only really get the one.
Yeah. And then he also stabs Cassie, and then as soon as he stabs her, she comes back to herself in the woods. And here's the part where Toxic starts playing on the radio.
And Cassie just stands there for like 30 seconds.
Yeah. When she gets to the diner walking, it is as the first verse is starting. So like pretty quick in the song. She gets in the car and drives there, and the song starts then. Ceiling Guy shows up before the second verse and kills everybody. But in this version, outside of the vision, I guess there was traffic and he is a little bit later.
It takes Cassie longer to drive to the diner than it does for her to walk through the woods. Again, half a mile down the road.
It's good, though. It's actually a good thing because when she's a little bit late this time, she can hit him with the car.
Yeah. Ceiling guy comes through, he's gonna kill the girls, and then Cassie breaks through the wall with her taxi and hits him with her car.
I feel like up until now, the comics have been underutilizing the Spider-Man's severe weakness to getting hit by cars.
It is her motive, like, this is her weapon of choice, is hitting someone with her car.
Yeah.
She does it so many times.
It's 100% effective, though, so, like, can't fault her for it.
No, a perfect strategy. Absolutely impeccable.
Yeah.
The girls climb into the car and Ceiling Guy, like, grabs Cassie's arm and, like, she starts to get some venom, whatever, but then she hits him with the car door and he goes back down.
Just keep hitting him with cars.
Yeah.
It'll work.
Don't try to do anything that's not hitting him with a car.
It's like when you just know the one ability in like a game with a bunch of like attack combos, but you just keep spamming this one like really low grade like attack button and it works. It's not fancy.
In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, one of the first abilities you get is the big boot, the big Sparta boot.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most effective ones. You can just keep using that the whole game and it'll pretty much work out for you.
Just keep kicking.
Just boot them forever.
They keep putting major bosses at the edge of cliffs.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
surprised when I kick the boss off the cliff. Like, I'm not going to do that.
You got to fight this Minotaur. And I'm like, is there a window? Because I can fight the Minotaur near a window. Sure.
So Cassie drives off and then she gets mad at the girls and tells them something that I don't feel is something that we've really seen in this movie, but now it's something that describes the characters because she said it out loud, which is, do you guys think of anybody but yourselves? You're so impulsive and entitled and you don't listen.
Okay, so first off, Cassie, what you're describing is a teenager.
Yeah, and yourself a little bit.
Secondly, no way anyone in 2003 is using the words impulsive and entitled. She's gonna call them little shitheads.
Exactly. Yeah.
Third, says the woman who randomly started yelling at girls on a train, kidnapped them, and then suddenly abandoned them in the woods.
Obviously, just completely impeccable decision-making there.
Yeah. She definitely thinks of other people besides herself and isn't impulsive or entitled and absolutely listens to others.
This is one of the reasons I feel bad for Claire, the fourth writer on it, Claire Parker, because it's stuff like this where it's like, we're just going to say a thing about them that has never been shown or proven true, and we just have to deal with it. And I guess at some point Claire was like, "What? Just do whatever you want. I've done all I can."
Yeah.
The same thing kind of happens like the scene before in the diner, because like right before they're like all dunking on Julia and they're like, "Let's go to the diner." She's like, "I thought we should stay put." And she's like, "Shut up, let's go." And they bully her into going. And then in the diner, she's like sees boys and is like shy and a little bit flirty in a weird way. And it's like, that's not the same Julia from the last scene. What happened here?
Not at all. So the girls all have a cry in the back seat, and then Ceiling Guy is angry about the girls getting away, and Amari is like, I did find out that the woman is Cassandra Webb, daughter of Constance Webb, deceased, and he's like, did you say Webb?
Okay, so who looks up somebody and goes, oh yeah, this person is such and such, daughter of such and such?
Nobody!
Nobody's ever done that.
Like it's Game of Thrones. Yeah. It's wild that the first piece of information that's on there is about her dead mom that he happens to know, and not like the fact that she's a public servant.
Yeah. She's like an EMT.
Paramedic.
She's a paramedic.
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
Supposedly. Ostensibly. Debatably.
Allegedly.
According to a patch, but anyone can get those. You can buy those.
Cassie takes the girls to a motel and again says, I'm taking you home to your parents so your parents can deal with it. And then we have to get more detail about why their parents are all unavailable. And they all have tragic backstories.
Yeah, this is the let's all reveal our tragic backstories scene.
Well, not only is Julia's like dad just totally ignore her in favor of her stepmom and her half-brother, but also her mom is in a psych ward because she didn't handle my dad leaving well.
Woof.
What?
Woof.
Jesus. We also find out at some point that Julia, like, had a couple of rough years after her parents split and learned martial arts.
Yeah, which we will not, don't pin that either. We will not be seeing that in the film, unfortunately.
Okay, so first off, it's Taekwondo. Taekwondo is not a martial art. Taekwondo is a sport.
Whatever. Whatever. Are you really going to nitpick that part of this movie?
Yes. Yes, I am, Annie.
Great. Maddie's parents are in China and apparently hated having a child, so basically abandoned her. They don't even have, she doesn't even have, a live-in nanny or anything. It's just her and the housekeeper.
Yeah, it's not even an Alfred situation. It's just
no au pair, nothing.
Someone also employed there. They do mention that earlier, and we get a little bit more in-depth in it here, but at some point she does say, my dad makes plastics that pollute the ocean, and then...
my mom buys terrible art?
Yeah, and then Anya's let's go spend some of Maddie's dad's pollution money, poison ocean money.
And also, Anya's dad was an undocumented immigrant, got deported 6 months ago. Her mom is dead, and she can't go to the police until she's 18 because she didn't know that they were undocumented.
Yep.
So Anya being the one that's let's not talk to anybody, let's just get food and leave.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
It also is when she's my dad was deported 6 months ago, and earlier we saw her talking to the superintendent or whatever, being yeah, I know the rent's late. Is it 6 months late, or have you been paying New York City rent being a teenager? What are you, that girl's enterprising.
Yeah, it sounds like she's probably on a math scholarship or something.
Yeah, but these are all reasons that Cassie has to keep watching them.
Yeah, because Anya's I'm not going into the foster system, and she's well, the foster system isn't always terrible. I'm normal.
Look at how normal I am.
I'm completely normal.
I'm so normal.
Completely normal.
I'm a completely normal person.
And they're Cassie, please help us, says Julia. So Cassie is okay. And then immediately gets her stuff and leaves as soon as the girls fall asleep.
And gets out of there to go back to the diner for
no reason that we can appreciate.
Yeah. It's so that they can have some exposition. The movie's reason is so there can be some exposition where we don't have to see Ezekiel's face move because it's blurry and he's in a mask half the time. So he can talk without us having to see it.
So you know how at this point in the movie, nobody has any idea why any of this is happening?
Uh-huh.
Well, the movie was and this must be something that was a product of 30 missing pages. Was okay. She's going to go to the diner for some reason and have a vision where she can directly say, why are you doing what you're doing? Please explain your motivation to me. And I don't know how she gets this information because we haven't seen her have these sorts of visions before. And that doesn't seem like it's in the skill set of someone with future vision.
Yeah, this is a new bespoke kind of vision.
Look, it's needed for the plot, so she has it, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's just I'm trying to kill these girls because they'll have powers in the future, and I'm going to insinuate that I killed your mom, and the girls are going to kill me with powers, so I have to kill them now.
And they'll take away everything I've worked for, which is,
I don't know,
a big room that has a glass pillar in it with some with some plants, and one cool spider terrarium. I can't let them take that away from me.
And then she wakes up in the motel. This isn't precognition. This is just being a psychic or something.
This is just magic now.
It's just magic. This just happens at an extremely convenient point.
This is just all Spider's men are psychic for each other, I guess.
Yeah.
We don't even see a setup to this where she's why is he doing this? She doesn't even muse this out loud to the audience. We don't even see that it's on her mind. She just gets this information.
Also, her mom, and by transitive properties of the womb or whatever, were bit by the same spider that gave him power. So they are the most directly connected. And that's kind of the theme of the movie, is these connections. And it's never brought up how they are connected in that way other than he killed her mom. That's the only thing that they have in common, is that they both knew her mom.
Web connects us all or something.
Sort of. Sometimes. When it's convenient.
So the next morning, Cassie wakes up, explains stuff that we didn't even really see her learn, his hands somehow release an acute neurotoxin, and the longer he holds on to you, the more poison gets into your system. And I was lucky, so it didn't affect me.
And also, she was in bed by herself while the three teens are all in a bed together.
Yeah, Cassie, what the hell?
Cassie, at least let one of them sleep with you, so it's 2-2.
Right. Nope.
She's like, I was lucky, so we're not going to worry about me getting any toxin in me. That's just over now.
That's over
It's
now.
over now. Don't worry about it.
But the more poison that gets into your system, it'll stop your heart. So in order to counteract that, so we all know how to defeat this toxin the next time it happens in the movie.
It's time for CPR. Oh my god.
Is I'm going to teach you CPR.
Oh my god.
For like a long time.
A really long time. So it really gets drilled into you that this is going to be an important way to counteract the deadly neurotoxin.
The deadly neurotoxin.
Oh my god.
She's going to flood the spiders with a deadly neurotoxin.
So get comfortable while I warm up the neurotoxin emitters.
That'd be a much different game if GLaDOS is like, hey, you broke the one core that keeps me from putting spiders everywhere, so that's really your fault. I'm a robot.
That is Annie's nightmare version of that game.
I'm a robot, so I don't worry about spiders, but you should worry about all the spiders that are about to be in here.
It's okay. They can just make a spider brush to draw piles of spiders.
There's the secret fourth gel, spider gel.
Spider gun.
Technically, there was originally a fourth one that was going to be green that would let you walk up walls, so it's kind of a spider gel.
No, it's spiders. It's kind of spiders.
No, but spiders.
It's spiders.
Oh my god.
They just carry you upwards really quick.
Okay. So she teaches them CPR and it takes forever?
It takes forever and it's bad.
Oh no, I've done CPR for 10 seconds and I'm getting tired. You take over.
It's so bad.
And like, she doesn't even teach them, like, I guess Sony and all of their infinite money couldn't even like license the ability to mention like another one rides the bus. No, that's a Weird Al song.
Another one
bites the dust.
Annie Creighton.
My EMT teacher was like, all Cassie says is to the speed of a heartbeat, which is a bad way to explain it, because my teacher was like, you'll be doing this to the beat of, most teachers will say I will survive, but I personally love Another One Bites the Dust.
Yeah.
And he's like, because bump, 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 another one bites the dust.
Except this one, because I'm keeping you alive.
Keeping you alive. And then also she starts with the interlock your fingers thing, which my instructor said a lot of people will tell you to do that, but you actually, while you can kind of do that, just go for the simple put palm over palm.
Yeah, I imagine that's a similar thing. I'm legally required to bring up volleyball on every podcast I do. That's a similar thing to receiving a volleyball in that, like, you want to interlock your fingers, but that's the easiest way to break them all really quickly at one time.
Yeah.
And I imagine...
Yeah, I could see that.
Bare minimum doing CPR like that, it's like, it's easier to f something up. Yeah.
You're going to injure yourself.
Again, she even says you're trying to aim 2 inches down. So let's do it on a squishy pillow. That will really teach you.
After I've been doing it maybe like half an inch each time. Like, my instructor was like, break a rib. It's fine. Better to break a rib than die.
Get up in there.
And then, of course, they're like, hey, Maddie, you're a good teacher.
She's not, though. She's such a bad teacher.
Now they're bonding. But no high fives. You're a good teacher.
High fives aren't cool.
High fives are always cool.
It's time for an easy peasy trip to the Amazon as a wanted criminal.
Yeah.
Shortly after 9/11.
Yeah.
You're gonna roll up to the airport in a stolen taxi like 18 months post 9/11.
And it's gonna be fine.
That she parked because she drives it back too.
Yeah.
She just parks it there. No one finds it.
No one cares.
It's so easy to leave the country when you are wanted after 9/11 from New York City. It's so easy to go to Peru.
So easy. So easy.
With probably no return flight booked, let's be real.
No.
Let's be real. She doesn't know how long it's going to take.
She's like, I'll be gone like a week. I'm going to drop you off with Ben and his sister-in-law, Mary. He's so confused.
Ben is like, I know I'm staying here because she's getting close to giving birth, even though he will later say it shouldn't happen for another 4 weeks, but he's just staying there with her because Richard's out of town. And he's like, I guess they won't find her here, but like, can you tell me anything about what's going on? And she's like, no, I have to go to Peru so bad right now.
So she goes to Peru, and it's like, it's fine. Peru can't possibly be the 3rd largest country in South America and the 19th largest country in the world or anything. How hard can it be to track down her mother's expedition into the jungle 30 years ago?
It's one Amazon, Michael. How big can it be?
But she finds it so easy. She just gets on a couple of buses and looks at her mom's journal. And, like, she is out there in the jungle with waist-length hair just hanging down. She doesn't even have that shit in a ponytail. Cassie.
Yeah, we're up to now 2 instances where just wandering into the woods will kill you.
Yeah. She does end up running into one of the Los Arañas who has undergone a transformation from a nude man painted red wearing nets to catch a fish into your uncle who's had a roommate for 40 years and loves going to Greece.
There is a name. He has a name. We never hear it.
I don't think he has a name. Does he have one?
Yeah, it's like the subtitles sometimes identify it as like, I don't know, Dominic or something. It's extremely generic, but we never hear a name. He's just a guy.
Just some man.
And he's like, you've come back looking for answers, and I promised your mother I would be here. Ezekiel Sims stole the spider, and he was cursed, and he's been trying to outrun his destiny ever since. Like, that means anything.
Yeah, he also speaks entirely in platitudes and cliches. Like, he has not another line that isn't in
No.
To go forward, you must go back. It's all that stuff.
He who questions training only trains himself at asking questions.
What? Yeah, he says go back to go forward about 3 times in 3 different ways. Come to the grotto where you were born and your mom died. To see your future clearly, you have to heal the wounds of your past.
This team must learn to work together, or mark my words, it will be torn apart.
Your thread did not start when you were born. If you go past the beginning, you'll find powers you didn't even know you were capable of. And we didn't foreshadow because shut up.
Okay, am I the only one who finds these sayings just a little bit formulaic?
Your temper is very quick, my friend. But until you learn to master your rage...
Your rage will become your master? That's what you were gonna say, right? Right?
Not necessarily.
And then he does the Doctor Strange thing of punching her soul out her body into the spider water in a cave.
Yeah.
By the way, there's spider water in the cave.
There's spider water in the cave.
It's magic spider water.
She has visions about her mom from the beginning of the movie. And then we see her even further back with an OBGYN telling her that her fetus has been diagnosed with myasthenia gravis, which is this chronic neuromuscular disorder. This is a real thing. But Cassie's like, but I don't have a neuromuscular disorder. And the doctor says life expectancy varies, but interestingly, the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke has this info box in their write-up of myasthenia gravis, where they say, although myasthenia gravis is rarely seen in infants, a condition called neonatal myasthenia, the fetus may acquire antibodies from the mother. Neonatal myasthenia gravis is generally temporary, and the child's symptoms usually disappear within 2 to 3 months after birth.
Huh.
So this could have been fine.
Seems like Constance went through a lot of trouble for something that she should have waited out near a hospital.
At least let your doctor finish her sentence first.
If she did that, we wouldn't get the most wooden rating of, that's why you went there? For me?
This is reinforcing the point from Romeo and Juliet. Always give yourself time to have a good cry before you make any major life decisions.
Yeah, instead she's like, fuck you, I'm going to the Amazon to find a rare spider that has healing properties.
I know about peptides.
You did it.
She's been waiting for an excuse to go get those peptides.
Cassie and her mom somehow make eye contact, and Cassie again very woodenly says, you did it. You did it.
The spider venom did have healing properties.
It healed me.
The phrase healing properties is making me irrationally angry.
A thing normal people say.
Yeah. That's a 2-word phrase people say all the fucking time in normal conversation.
Yeah, all the time. Back to Kit's dumbest guy in the test audience, that her being like, but I don't have a neuromuscular disorder, is him going, wait a minute, but would she have a neuromuscular disorder then?
I also love that, that's probably a nod to the reason, I believe that in the comics, when Madame Web, she is born or diagnosed in early childhood with a neuromuscular disorder, which is the reason that she is usually a wheelchair user.
Yeah.
Or in, a powered wheelchair or something, and that's why she's usually sitting down in a chair in a web.
that she lives in.
That she lives in. But then Cassie comes back into the web ocean thing, and now she's back in her body, and your gay Grecian uncle is you came here to learn the truth about your past, but you will leave ready to embrace your future. And your mind has infinite potential, and you can use the web to be in more than one place at the same time. And then he says the thing that makes me angrier than anything else.
This makes me furious.
And when you take on the responsibility, great power will come.
Boo.
Fuck off.
God damn it!
Uncle Ben is literally in the movie.
He's in this movie!
And you just had some guy say it?
And that's the thing, though, is that you switch it around like this, and it doesn't even have the same meaning. It's just take responsibility or something, and you'll get powers. Not, if you have the ability to do something that others can't, you have a responsibility to use that to help those who cannot. It's a totally different thing, and you keep swapping those words around.
I'm starting to think this movie might be bad.
Yeah, we got to this point in the movie and I said out loud, oh, suck my fucking dick.
Yeah!
Great power comes
Don't
great...
you dare finish that sentence. Don't do it. I'm sick of it.
God, it just makes me furious. I hate it so much.
Thank God unnamed Las Arañas said it. So we remember that Spider-Man is a factor in this somehow.
Somehow. And it comes before Uncle Ben says anything, so it insinuates almost that it predates with great power comes great responsibility, as though it is the original version of that phrase.
So did Uncle Ben hear this from Cassie?
I guess.
And then relay that to Peter eventually?
I guess.
It's not Uncle Ben's.
Uncle Ben was like, this makes no fucking sense. I'm changing it to something that makes sense.
I'm going to fix this. I'm going to workshop this if that's okay, Cassie, because this is pretty dumb what you said.
Meanwhile, back in New York, the computer lady hanging out with Ezekiel has not yet found the girls. She has so many different chain chokers. She has a new one today. And Ceiling Guy is just like, these girls cannot exist. They will try to destroy me. And I'll destroy you if I don't find them or something.
Yeah, he does give a creepy pat on her shoulder as if to give her an out to help them later. Stay tuned. Wait, no, don't stay tuned. Don't put a pin in it. It's not gonna. No. It's not gonna matter.
That's not gonna fucking happen.
Don't put a pin in it.
Put those pins in the drawer. Stop getting them out.
Put them back.
You put those things right back where they came from, or so help me.
Or so to help me.
Not a single thing in this movie matters.
Anyway, Ben is still house sitting. It's been a week. The girls are still just being teenagers, whatever. But Mary's water broke. The baby's a little early, but 4 weeks seems like a little early, but not by a lot in terms of what doctors are usually prepared for.
It could definitely be worse.
Yeah. Richard still isn't here yet, says Ben. So they all pile into the car. The girls are all wearing big hoodies to hide themselves that I think give them color coordination to their costumes in the future.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Immediately, Amaria spots them and intercepts a call to the hospital and tracks the route so Ezekiel can find them.
They are in a 1984 Buick. I don't know how she's tracking them. Specifically, maybe traffic cams, but there's no way this car has any sort of locator in it.
We can't all be a taxi cab that was just sitting at the airport for a week that had been reported stolen.
Oh.
Speaking of which, the moment they leave, Cassie pulls up in said taxi cab that was just sitting at the airport for a week.
Yeah. And then, so does the ambulance.
And then she's like, I can't ride that anymore. She sees a vision of everybody dying and then spots the ambulance that they called to come up to the house because Mary's water broke.
Okay, so the one vehicle in the city more trackable than a taxi then.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Is an ambulance, and Cassie's like, score.
Time to commit another major felony.
I mean, I guess if she's a paramedic, this is just borrowing a company car, right? Like,
definitely.
Well, it might be a different ambulance company. It doesn't look like it, but it might be.
No, yeah, because this is from the hospital directly. So
That's true, and she works with FDNY.
Yeah, so this is, okay, felony's back on the table.
Back on the table.
Also, what happened to that lady that the ambulance, that the paramedics were coming to tend to?
I'm not sure if they're there, if they like
just fuck her, I guess.
If they missed a call for like Mary or something and they like left. I think there was maybe a line that said like, we can't wait for the ambulance.
Ben says it looks like it's going to be a while before the ambulance gets here. And she's like, I am not waiting. This kid is coming now.
But the way it is shot, it looks like Cassie's looking at a house next door.
Yeah.
She looks in the window and you can see water on the ground. And she's like, that's got to be amniotic fluid. Like I can tell from here. That's what that is.
We cut back to the girls. They're timing contractions. Anya's doing math, because Anya's great.
Well, she eats it for breakfast, so...
Yeah. Ceiling Guy's chasing them and has Amaria turn all the traffic lights green at the intersection they're coming up on, so there's a traffic jam in the middle of the intersection, and then Ceiling Guy poses on a billboard above them.
With a grenade. He, has a grenade
He has a grenade now.
He's got one grenade.
He has never had grenades before in this movie. He just suddenly has a grenade now.
He's got one grenade.
It's not like he has any more.
And it's not like this is like a regular grenade, like a pole pin grenade. This is a movie grenade with like a flashing red light.
Yeah, this is a science fiction grenade.
This is a spider grenade.
Yeah.
It's just gonna a bunch of spiders are gonna pop out. It's gonna be really gross.
A single spider grenade.
And in order to get this grenade on the car, obviously what he has to do is jump off the high location that is further away from where he wants the explosion to loom on the car with the grenade still in hand.
But it's okay because of Cassie's visions. And she did dip in the spider water, so she's much better at reading them now, I guess.
Apparently.
Because she knows exactly which wall she has to drive through in order to hit him.
Mm-hmm.
Cassie launches herself out of like a second-story garage in the ambulance so that Ceiling Guy jumps up and she rams him. She hits him with the car again.
It's 100% effective. 100% effective.
The best anti-Spider-Man tactic. Everyone should be doing it all the time.
Hit them with the car.
Yeah, you don't need to dress up like a vulture or a scorpion or whatever. Just hit Spider-Man with your fucking car. Grow up, all right? Hit him with the car.
Like, if it's too big, if it's like a train, he'll be able to stop the train, but he can't stop a car.
He can't just stop a car. Everyone knows that. Except for all of Spider-Man's villains, thank God.
The grenade goes off just somewhere else. The grenade just goes off in a different...
It blows up.
The grenade just blows up in Times Square, I think.
Like in the middle of this this big looking intersection, there's a bomb that goes off 16 months after 9/11 and everyone's
fine.
Relatively chill about it.
Nobody cares. There's tons of people in all these cars, ostensibly, but now they're just empty.
They all got off and left once they saw Ceiling Guy. They know not to mess around with Ceiling Guys there.
Yeah, definitely. So Cassie is like, girls, get in the ambulance. Ben, take Mary and get far away. He won't care about you. And it's like, I mean, he's the one with the pregnant woman. Shouldn't he take the ambulance?
No, the Buick is better.
The Buick is better.
The big, beautiful Buick. It's way better to get to the hospital.
If Ben took the ambulance, he would then be complicit to a felony. So
that is true.
Hey, guess what your accessories to?
So, like, she takes the girls, they drive down the street, and we see this thing of Ceiling Guy getting on top of a taxi and kind of bracing himself and hops. But you see the height of that hop. He doesn't hop very far. And as far as we know, he doesn't web sling. So I guess he just hops back down and runs to hop on another car to jump on that later.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously he can't web sling. He's not Spider-Man. He's just ceiling guy. And he's outside, so there's not even a ceiling for him to be a guy on right now. So he's got to hop between the cars.
I guess Mac's gone now. Ceiling guy got her.
Bye, Mac.
Bye, Mac.
A shame that ceiling guy plucked Mac up and put her over there, just off screen, where we can't see her.
We're in the home stretch here somehow.
I will say, though, at this moment, there's still 20 minutes of the movie left somehow, but nothing happens. Like,
nothing happens.
It's not 20 minutes worth of stuff.
Nothing happens in the last 20 minutes of this movie.
Okay, so there's a car chase. Improbably, they do a thing where, like, they put the AKG in the back of the ambulance on top of the ceiling, and that somehow shocks ceiling guy.
Yeah, they wait until he lands. She's like, wait until I say, and then she's just waiting to hear a thump of a man landing on the roof of the car, and then they zap it, and then he gets blasted off.
I don't think that's how AKGs work.
Or anything.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think they would build a machine that you would put in a car to save people that also, if it did touch the car, it would zap the whole outside of it like a Faraday cage.
Like it's fucking Operation the board game.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like, they do that, and then somehow the ambulance just stops. It just, like, the engine just stops. It runs out of gas or something. Ambulance done. Ambulance done in movie.
No more ambulance.
No more ambulance.
We used up the ambulance.
We can't hit him with the ambulance again.
Too effective. They had to take the piece off the board.
We have to get rid of the ambulance. It's actually too effective against Spider-Man.
It's the one thing that gets him to stop. But it's okay because they're near the PepsiCo brand fireworks death trap, so they'll do something there.
And they're like, we're listening this time, Cassie. We won't be impulsive.
Again, impulsive, a word that teenagers in 2003 definitely say.
Did not know.
That's not even the problem here.
No.
You abandoned some kids in the woods for hours.
In the scene where they're in Mary's house right before her water breaks, they're like being kind of shitty teens. Like they're like painting Julia's nails and throwing popcorn at each other. And Ben's trying to be like, hey, let's not do that. And they're not listening. And like, that's kind of the worst they get as people in the movie.
Yeah.
Still not impulsive or entitled, I don't think.
I wouldn't say they've grown as people, you know?
Yeah.
They're just sort of still teens. They just aren't at each other's throats as much.
They just saw her drive an ambulance through a wall and narrowly avoid hitting them and a pregnant woman so they could hit ceiling guy. So I guess now they're just scared. They're like, we'll do whatever you want.
Whatever the hell she wants us to do, we're gonna fucking do it. Because we don't want her to hit us with a van.
We don't know what happened in Peru, but...
And what she wants them to do is to put flares inside crates of fireworks.
That's probably fine.
That's normal.
The fireworks also operate on...
cartoon rules?
It's very cartoon rules in that they are rockets. They're not necessarily like Roman candles.
No.
Which would like sting if you get hit by them. As someone who has been a teenage boy and has fired off Roman candles at his friends that were also firing Roman candles off him. It's not great. It doesn't feel good. But it's not going to knock your ass 3 yards away every time it happens.
Yeah, ceiling guy keeps chasing them through the factory and then gets like a rocket to the gut that sends him flying. Another firework somehow blows a large convenient hole in a brick wall?
Yeah, this is a munitions factory. This isn't a fireworks warehouse.
And it's so disappointing, right? Because you think a climax that takes place in a fireworks factory, that's all Milhouse ever wanted.
Get to the fireworks factory.
We finally got to the fireworks factory, and it's this. They run up to the roof where a big Pepsi Cola sign is, and the helicopter is there that Cassie radioed for earlier in the ambulance, and they're like, get to the south side.
Yeah, RoboCop is on the is on the horn in the helicopter. RoboCop will be murdered in the helicopter.
Yeah, we never find out who's flying this helicopter. The movie's disinterested in it.
Yeah, it's just some guy being like, it's too dangerous, go to the south, and then he gets blown up, so don't worry about him. You can take the pin out of the helicopter.
Yeah, it's like getting the little video game objective ping in the upper right-hand corner.
Yeah.
Do you think that originally there was no guy shouting from the inside of the helicopter? And the dumbest guy at the test screening was confused, so they ADR'd it over?
Absolutely.
How do they know not to get in the helicopter when it's blowing up? Oh, we'll put a fucking line in. Jesus Christ, Daniel. Just, can you watch the movie, please?
Daniel's that guy who's got like half an eye on his phone. He keeps looking up from like Candy Crush.
Right.
I hate how every movie is written for that guy now.
I know, it's really bad. So I watched Sinners the other day, and there's a lot of stuff that's like very subtle and like very well done because it's like a good movie. Mm-hmm. And then I watched Madam Web immediately following it, and I was like, sort of the opposite of Sinners in a lot of ways is Madam Web. But like that's a movie that like trusts you to pay attention to the little things, and even when it like shows you the flashback of like, hey, there's a little thing from earlier that like we're just tying some stuff together. It's all done really deftly, and it's like, oh man, so people can make good movies. Just Madam Web didn't want to do it, I guess.
Yeah, I love like watching a good television show and being like, oh, I'm actually viewing something that is a craft.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget. They run to the south side as the video game objective has pinged them to do. Cassie uses her precognition to like help them dodge fireworks, or like the sign is starting to come apart. The big Pepsi Cola sign is. And then she gets a vision about a big S falling.
Get it? Did you get it?
Because S is for... It's not an S. No, it is. It's for Spider-Man.
It's not for Ceiling Guy. That's with a C. Unless Ceiling Guy is spelled with an S.
Unless you're really bad at spelling.
There's also a shot like where she's like avoiding stuff, and she's like, she gets like Captain America's shield made out of rebar and sheet metal. I don't know why the movie is like, now she's super strong. Now she's got super strength.
Yeah, just because you can tell where something is going to hit you doesn't mean there's no like force that would impact your arm.
And like there's even like a reaction shot from Cassie being like, whoa, I guess I'm super strong now for a minute. Like, what are you sure? I know this is for the trailer because this was in the trailer, but like this is not the rest of the movie. This is not how things have been set up for how you work at all.
The girls, by the way, are all like cooing over her this whole sequence. Like, wow, Cassie, you're showing off. That's so cool.
Yeah, we're still not high-fiving, though. High-fiving isn't cool.
Yeah. Ceiling Guy jumps up from the floor, unfortunately. Which is the opposite of the ceiling.
Not even the ceiling.
Which is the opposite of a ceiling. He's outside his natural environment.
I guess if he was on the ceiling and then it broke upwards, then it becomes a floor. What is a floor if not an upside-down ceiling?
He jumps up, he deflects a firework into the helicopter, which, I mean, normally I would be like, how the fuck did that firework destroy a helicopter? But as we have discussed in Bumblebee.
Helicopter, 50,000 moving parts looking for somewhere to crash.
So it finds somewhere to crash. It might destroy some more of the sign. The sign is just kind of coming apart for no reason now.
Again, I ask, how does Pepsi feel about their product placement in this movie?
During the meeting, it's like, we'll put a big Pepsi sign, so like it'll be right there. And they're like, yeah, great. We love it when there's big, and everyone only drinks Pepsi products. Great. Also, and they're like, we're also gonna kill a guy with the Pepsi sign. Is that cool with you or not? And Pepsi was like,
Pepsi sign will have a body count.
And Pepsi was like, how many Pepsis do they drink in the movie though? And they're like, a lot. And they're like, that's fine. We'll let it go if you drink a lot of different Pepsi products in the movie.
He starts strangling Cassie. The girls distract him. And then somehow in the process, the girls all start dangling off of different stuff. They are in individual dangers.
The contrivance here that this movie has to go through, the shape it contorts itself into in order to make this ending happen.
They're all like 10 feet away. So they're really not that far. But Ceiling Guy is like, you can't save all three. And then we get a flashback to the Arañas guy.
Yeah. Uncle Santiago being like, you can be in multiple places at once. And her being like,
and when you take on the responsibility, great power will come. And like, the responsibility of what?
Don't you dare finish that sentence. Don't do it. I'm sick of it.
Of not letting 3 teenagers die from tetanus.
Being a mom or something.
This feels like the thesis statement from a different version of the script.
Yeah.
Back where it's like what Kit said, where it's like the scenes were in reverse order and it was like, you can't save everyone. Like that movie where it happened in that order. Like this is the sort of the culmination of that of being like, you can't save everyone, but she can. But that's not the movie that we watched just now, so...
No.
Yeah, also, can we just talk about how fucking bullshit it is that the quote-unquote girl boss Spider-Man movie, the thesis statement of it is you needed to become a mom this whole time?
You gotta be a mom, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah, it's like
fuck off.
It makes me as mad as Jurassic World does. Except in that one, it's like, I'm going to be a mom, but not to the dinosaurs. I can't find fulfillment being a mom to the dinosaurs. I have to become a mother of a human child to really be a woman or something.
Woof.
Move this man!
I hate Jurassic World so much.
Isn't that also the movie where there's like a woman who's like, I have a career, and then they like kill her brutally with like several dinosaurs?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes, several dinosaurs in succession.
Great job.
She is an incorrect maternal figure.
I think that's pretty much exactly what the first Jurassic Park was going for in terms of themes.
Yeah, life finds a way to kill women.
To kill women. Not wrong.
All right, but not in this movie, though, because she does a big heroic moment by glowing and astral projecting to pull the girls up to safety. And it takes so long. It even does this big, like, wide shot where you see her with, like, this web of astral projections around her to help all three girls up. And it's, like, again, within, like, 10 feet of each other.
Yeah. In succession, it's her being like, give me your hand, Maddie. I'll help you up, Julia. Anya, let me help you. And then, like, she, like, half helps them a little bit up, and then Ezekiel just punches her in the chest or something.
He's still
and all of her astral forms pop back in.
He's still right there. It's like a guy right in front of some, like, a Maho shoujo doing, like, a little magical henshin. He's right there.
It's just, yeah.
Just punch her.
He just punches her soul back into her body.
Just punch her soul back into your body. And then, like, they fight sort of, like, she escapes up a railing more on the sign, and Ceiling Guy, instead of jumping or climbing on it, just, like, climbs up it like a normal person, like, with one leg, hoisting his leg over the railing and stuff.
Like Indiana Jones, who just, like, jumped out of a pit or something. He's just like,
yeah.
Get over here.
He's like, you're just like your mother. And she's like, yes, I am. In what way?
And that she's a mom now, too.
How are they alike? In what way?
The sign falls in such a way that, like, it traps him in the railing, and then that falls into the factory, I think.
Yeah, and Cassie's like, you've been trying to change your future, but the girls were never your future. I was. No.
No,
the girls were his future. Like, we established that objectively.
We saw that vision very clearly.
Definitely happened that it was the girls.
You weren't in it.
Yeah.
You weren't in it. It was the girls.
Yeah, you weren't there.
He didn't even know who you were.
Not at all. And then the S from the Pepsi-Cola sign falls and hits him, and then he is crushed by another letter, one of the P's from Pepsi.
He gets pee-pissed to death.
He gets pee-pissed to death. So now he's dead. So, hey, you know how it was like, man, you're going to have to use CPR to avoid dying from his venom hands in case any of you get touched. I thought I told you to stop putting pins in things. God damn it.
Well, you fell for our honey trap again.
This movie really needs Cassie to go blind, and therefore she gets hit specifically in the eyes.
Right in the eyeballs.
Yeah, just by like some sign shit.
Well, no, she falls in the water. Something happens. Somehow Cassie is in the water. I think the collapsing of the peepus makes her fall in.
Yeah, and like she sees the big red S floating next to her.
Oh, just like the Vision.
Just like Spider-Man.
And then a rocket, just like Spider-Man, then a rocket from inside the factory bangs a Yui, flies down into the water, and hits her directly in the eyeballs.
This also, I guess, takes out her body.
She does get paralyzed.
She does get paralyzed now.
From the waist down. I think maybe the railing hit her. I don't know. I'm a little... I've seen it.
Or maybe it's something about like her... Because her heart stops again. So maybe something about like the blood flow.
Oh, maybe.
Like like a nerve paralysis damage. I don't know. Nobody ever tells us what happened.
in a way that can only be described as somehow.
The one thing they don't tell us what happens.
Yeah.
Julia, the girl who wanted to be a Girl Scout, swims in and fishes her out.
The one she's been shitting on this whole movie is the one that saves her. You better be nice to her from now on.
Yeah, you have to be nice to Julia now. The girls all do CPR on Cassie to keep her alive because her heart has stopped. And then, like, Julia's crying, like, please, Cassie, I need you, please. And it's like, y'all, in the last week, you spent maybe 12, 18 hours tops with this woman.
You spent more time with Uncle Ben recently than you have with her.
Why isn't he your new dad?
Man, that'd be such a better movie.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben's new 3 daughters, the Spider Women, who are Peter Parker's older sisters now because he's a baby that gets born.
Cassie starts breathing again. So they did it. They did the CPR good because that's why they learned CPR in case anybody drowned.
They did it. It's the thing that happens in a lot of movies, and it actually, this exact trick. I haven't seen Dracula Untold or Last Witch Hunter in a while. I've seen them in the past. I choose to not remember them. But I have seen the Power Rangers 2017 movie more recently, and the writers of this who wrote, they had a story credit on that. I don't know how involved they were, but they had a story credit on that. They pulled the same trick, which is like we set up a thing and that looks like it'll be very obvious, and then we subvert the expectation by doing it a different way, in a way that is not satisfying. Like,
yeah, that's not like a clever subversion. That's just you not doing the thing that you said you were going to do. That's just you being bad.
Yeah, it's like they have a whiteboard that is like trick equals good. And it's like no, sometimes it has to make sense too, and like feel earned and good. So it's
narrative satisfaction is often more important than feeling clever.
Yeah, and it's like, well, no, but you thought they were going to save her because of neurotoxin, but actually it's because a rocket hit her in the eyeballs underwater. So, pretty good movie, don't you think?
We're so fucking good at screenwriting, you guys.
And they haven't written anything since.
It's only been a year. Give them time.
That's true.
I'm sure they can continue to fail upwards.
So Mary's baby has been born. We will never say his name out loud, even though we had that whole guessing game at the party.
Christina Woods will hold that his name is Baby Boy Balloon Pop Sound.
And meanwhile, Cassie is in a different room in the hospital, lying in a bed with her eyes covered, sitting up. And now instead of being bored and not delivering her lines, she is serene and not delivering her lines.
Also, worst sunglasses of all time.
Oh, pretty.
Just absolute dog shit.
Oh,
pretty bad, but
who picked these?
They might be accurate to how bad sunglasses were in 2003.
I don't know, man. We were all there. I don't think it was that bad.
If you were watching pro wrestling at that time, some people had some pretty ugly sunglasses back then. Doesn't make them good.
So all 3 of the girls are in a bed next to Cassie, and they're like, we're not leaving you, Cassie. Also, Ben says the baby is perfect, and he's loving being an uncle. Yeah, he's got all the fun and none of the responsibility.
Oh.
And Cassie says, go ahead.
Cassie says that's what he thinks, which can only refer to 2 things.
So
there's only 2 things this can mean. Either A, she knows that Mary and Richard are about to die and that Uncle Ben will have to raise Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Or B, she knows that Ben's gonna die.
She knows someone she loves is going to die.
And she smiles about it when she delivers the line.
That's what he thinks. Wink. You can't see me winking because I'm wearing sunglasses.
And you can sort of see the logic of she knows what the string of cause and effect and knows that if she tries to stop Ben or Mary from getting killed, that like this will lead to a sequence of events where Spider-Man never exists and thus the universe collapses or whatever. But she's smiling while she says it.
She's smiling
She just spent the whole movie learning that you can use precognition to save everyone.
But some people are too important, like Baby Boy Balloon Pop becoming Spider-Man. This is the second podcast I've done about Madam Web because I have a disease. And the first one was our friend Tanner's show, Not If I Reboot You First, where they like reboot stuff before Hollywood can. And I was like, I gotta talk about Madam Web somewhere. And the thing we landed on is we do Gotham, but with Spider-Man, and the hook is that the whole show is Cassie trying to prevent Spider-Man from happening. Anything that could make a Spider-Man happen, she tries to stop in order to keep Ben alive.
This sounds like a Coyote and Roadrunner situation.
It would be so good, I think. The moral of the story was
the universe itself fighting Cassie and killing Uncle Ben.
Just to save Ben.
Like Baby's Day Out level of trying to keep Uncle Ben from dying. He keeps like lunching underneath like a gigantic 1 ton weight. He goes to active construction sites on a walk.
Yeah, like he's just Mr. Magoo, but it's not Mr. Magoo. It's Cassie moving stuff out of the way before it can kill him, just to prevent Spider-Man from happening. And I think that would be a fun moral for a Spider-Man property, is to be like, we can't have a Spider-Man. It would be so bad if we had a Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is actually the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
That old Parker look.
There's also in the deleted scenes, speaking of this, not the deleted scenes, there's only 41 seconds of a deleted scene. That's it.
The extras?
There's like a behind the scenes, like a regular, like just talking about the behind the scenes of the movie and like everybody talking. Then there's like a casting one, and there was one other called like Oracle of the Page, which I assume talked about the comics. I didn't watch that one. Then there's some other stuff, but in the regular, just like general, like behind the scenes, there's a part where Dakota Johnson says that she thinks that if Cassie wasn't so emotionally unavailable, that she and Ben would be in love. And I was like, that's something. I feel like that's something.
That's a thing.
But instead, they didn't do that. Instead, they didn't make it there because they had to make Spider-Man happen.
They had to make Spider-Man happen.
So
there's a nurse that comes into this hospital room, is just like, so are you all immediate family? And Cassie lies and says, yes, they're all mine. All of these girls have living parents who have addresses in the city.
No, Cassie has stolen 3 children. Cassie has stolen 3 children.
Cassie, you know how you were in the foster system. You know how this works.
I feel like bare minimum, she can get guardianship of Anya, right? Like,
yeah,
bare minimum. But the other 2 do have parents in the city, even if one of them is, I think, the worst guy in the movie, and the other are just unseen, whatever the opposite of a helicopter parent is, an escape hatch parent. Where they're like, get out of here. We'll see you never.
I love that is the only question the nurse had. She just leaves. She could have said like, hey, so you are paralyzed from the waist down. There was some nerve damage there or something. Or we're not sure if you're ever going to be able to recover your eyesight. Anything.
Is that something that you're okay with? Do you need to talk to somebody about that? No, it's just, are these yours? And she'd be like, yep.
Okay, cool. I don't need to verify that at all. Cassie, can we get you anything? No, I have everything I need right here. Because now she loves these children for some reason.
Right, because she's a mom now.
Yeah, because now she's a mom, and therefore she has no needs or desires ever again.
And then we cut to our final scene in a big apartment with a spiderweb-shaped window. It looks like the set of a CW show.
This is exactly the set of Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
Like 100%, they just copy and pasted it.
Oh my God, she's even in a wheelchair.
She's even in a wheelchair.
Oh God, it is just Birds of Prey.
Yeah, this is the Birds of Prey like TV show. She's in a wheelchair. She's wearing glasses. The girls come in together in the elevator that goes directly to their apartment.
Yeah, so it's a penthouse.
Yeah, so like, how did they get this?
Well, she had a pretty good settlement after the PepsiCo sign almost killed her. So
did she use her precognition to get some lotto numbers?
Yeah, after you get blown up in a fireworks factory. After you get blown up by a fireworks factory that's in an old PepsiCo factory, there's a lot of people who owe you money apparently after that happens.
Yeah, even though Pepsi just has a sign there, like they're not affiliated with it at all. It would have been really bad optics if she was like, yeah, so then the Pepsi sign paralyzed me and took my vision away.
You know the famous Pepsi sign?
Yeah, that tried to kill me. And so she was just like, hey, Pepsi, how you want to deal with this? And they were like, here's a lot of money. Buy yourself a nice penthouse.
The girls have brought Chinese food and she's answering their questions before they ask them and saying bless you before they sneeze and whatever. It's very coy. They've all got bottles of Pepsi Cola because I guess they forgave them.
Part of the settlement is you get unlimited Pepsi for life.
And they're like, how's your eyesight, Cassie? Which is a weird thing to ask at this juncture. And she's like,
right?
Yeah, like at that point, you're just digging in the thumb into the leg there a little bit.
Because like this is like a little while later. They're all living with her. They have a new apartment. Like they know how her eyesight is by now.
But she's like, I can see better than I ever have. And can you see us in the future? Yes. Standing up for what you believe. Never giving up. Discovering you were always more powerful than you thought. Being spider superheroes, but I don't think she ever tells them that.
I know.
This bit is just like a trailer for like a sequel that isn't going to happen.
So the whole like marketing for the movie was like, look at the Spider Girls, and they're like a combined 1.5 minutes of them in the suits.
She also has a vision of herself in a superhero outfit, astral projecting while like holding a spider.
It is the spider, the immortal, the one immortal spider.
Is this the 30-year-old spider?
This is it's a 30-year-old immortal spider that gives you peptides.
How did she get it?
Well, Ezekiel's dead, so they just.
Is she gonna
maybe
get
this
it?
is his apartment? Did they just take his apartment?
I don't
They just
think so.
moved
The
in.
windows are different.
Well, you see, when you kill a guy with a PepsiCo sign, you just get to take the place where he lives.
Yeah.
It's like a Highlander situation. You get all his stuff.
And she's like astral projecting with them. And then she has a voiceover where she's like, whatever the future holds, we'll be ready. And you know the best thing about the future? It hasn't happened yet.
No.
What?
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
What does that mean, movie?
That
What
doesn't
does
wrap
that
anything
mean?
up. What does that mean here?
Oh.
What do you mean the best thing about the future is it hasn't happened yet? Is that supposed to tie back to something? Anything? What's happening? Why is that the best thing about the future? What?
That seems like a line that like somebody like you can feel how proud of themselves they were when they wrote it.
Oh yeah, the music is swelling and everything.
Like, and they're like, hasn't happened yet, period, enter, select, and slate, the end. Yeah! Like, just so psyched about it.
It doesn't mean anything. This is nothing. This is absolutely nothing. I love this scene so much because this makes this whole movie feel like it is desperately trying to be the pilot for a CW action show that will never happen.
Yeah.
It's not even aiming high for like, I don't know, a streaming prestige show. No.
They don't want Disney Plus money. They just want to get right to CW,
Yeah.
get the most eyeballs on it, get those residues.
I don't, this fucking movie.
It's not good. It's the most bad movie I think I've ever seen for a lot of reasons that we just outlined. But it's so watchably bad at the very least.
It is so fascinatingly nothing.
The first time I saw it in the theaters, I'm laughing the whole time at the jokes, the things that aren't jokes, right? Because it's just like like poorly made, and I'm like, how does a movie like this get into a movie theater? Like, I feel like I have no excuse anymore. Like, I should be able to get a movie into a movie theater if this is here.
This came after Morbius.
In my country, we eat
Plasma.
This is post-Morbius, pre-Craven.
The writing was on the wall at this point.
This is a post-Morbius world.
Craven came after this and did bad also, and they were like, we're not making any more non-Spider-Man movies.
Morbin time came and went.
Bananas.
Okay, this is going to wrap it up for us, folks, which means it's time for our final facts. Mackenzie got put off camera and will not be back for the rest of the movie, much like Amaria or whatever her name was, the woman with the computers.
Fully disappears, completely scot-free. Don't worry about her. She did, attempted.
She's just gone.
She was an accomplice to attempted murder of 3 girls, but it's fine. She's gone.
She's gone.
And Mackenzie got so mad at the EMT stuff that she had to step away also.
Yes. So she's gone. So Kit, what is your final fact?
Number 1, this movie either needs more or less Peru in it. It could go either way, but the amount of Peru that is currently in this movie is incorrect. It's just an incorrect amount of Peru.
And you've always said that about this movie.
We're always talking about how much Peru is in a film.
And secondly, when it comes to dialogue, less is more. Okay, Annie, what is your final fact?
You should probably read or watch A Christmas Carol sometime. Like, there's performances every year in your local theater. I can guarantee it. There's readings. There's lots of movie versions. There's audiobooks. It doesn't have to be the one with the Muppets, but that one's pretty good.
That one is really good.
That's one of the best ones, I would say.
Like, you should probably watch A Christmas Carol. It's a classic. Maybe just so you can at least know how it ends. Jake, what's your final fact?
My final fact is that despite this movie being really bad, if Sydney Sweeney shows up as Julia Carpenter, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Julia Carpenter in like 10 years, I will pop off. I don't think they will ever talk about Madam Web again, but if in Avengers 18, if she's just there, I will lose it in the best way.
Julia deserves that, honestly.
They were so mean to her the whole time.
Justice for Julia.
Justice for Julia.
Then that is gonna wrap it up for us. Jake, thank you so much for joining us today, for being our Madam Webspert.
Thank you for having me. I love to ply my trade as a local Madam Webspert. I wanted to be a Batman expert, but that was already taken, so...
Yeah, that one's already done.
Yeah, there's a lot less Madam Web movie than there is Batman in general, so...
The key to being the top of your field is to pick a very small field.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So, Jake, where can people find you?
You can find me online. I'm on Blue Sky at jakemason.bisky.social. I am on Twitter, but you don't need to be there. You shouldn't.
Nobody needs to be there.
I don't need to be there. I have some sort of terrible inertia and I'm stuck. I am on Blue Sky, the better one that is getting worse every day, but we got some time, I guess, before it gets really bad. And then I got a lot of podcasts. I got the Morphin Grid, which is an episode by episode recap of Power Rangers. We're about to start Samurai, which is critically hailed as one of the worst ones. So that'll be fun.
Nice.
There's Kingdom Smarts, where Shannon Maynard and I go over all the Kingdom Hearts games. And by the time this goes up, I think the final 2 episodes of Kingdom Hearts 3 will be out.
Oh, yeah.
Not the DLC, just the game proper. We haven't done Remind yet. That's next. Then there is Binary Break, which Annie is also on. It's a Digimon actual play where we play shitty teens with Digimon friends, and we also play those Digimon friends.
We're just little guys.
We're just little guys. We're little juice box mascots doing our best, and then we're also shitty teens doing our worst.
Making each other sad.
Doing our best to make each other sad, yeah.
Excellent. That's Madam Web, everybody. That's the end of Madam Web. That's the end of this one, where there is so much less movie than your average movie for this movie, and yet there's so much to talk about.
And yet we still managed to talk about it for 3.5 hours uncut.
Which is longer than the runtime of the movie. Don't worry about it.
Life
Don't worry about
finds
it.
a way.
Life finds a way. I don't have our next episode ready for our topic yet, so you'll be as surprised as we will be in the future when we decide what it is. Until then, I Will Fight You comes out every 5 weeks, and it's edited by Lucas Brown of The Math of You. Sorry about the long one again, Lucas.
Sorry, Lucas.
You can find us on crcpodcast.bisky.social. There's also a Tumblr, but the main place you can find us is our website, crookedrussiancam.horse or crookedrussiancam.gay. Either one of those will do. Just don't type in .gayhorse. That one doesn't exist yet. Give us money at patreon.com/thegemmjam. For even $1 a month, you can get early episodes for I Will Fight You. For other tiers, you can get plenty of stuff from our other shows. Money, give us $1.
Give Annie $1 right now.
Give Annie $1 so I can then pay our editors like Lucas, who does so much for us.
So much for this one. Or me, who does way less on Gem Jammer. Because I don't allow those.
Yes, Jake also. Money goes to Jake too. Give me $1 so I can give Jake $1.
But I don't let those ones get this long. I don't allow it.
We'll see you next time when we prove another incontrovertible fact. And until then, I'm Annie.
I'm Kit.
I'm Jake.
And Mackenzie's not here.
And we have fought you.
Also, I have to run to the bathroom real quick, but I feel like if you guys just keep talking about the movie, we will not have progressed that far by the time I get back.
Probably.